Welcome everybody to our latest session of the Restoration of Cariele. As is typical, we'll do a quick recap of what occurred last week and then get started. So team, you'll likely recall when we started last week, you guys were out in the woods in the province of Riverford on the drive of tracking down this perhaps attackers that had killed some loggers in northeast Riverford. There was some previous information that was learned about a set of bodies having been discovered there, and Vin decided to take the council out and see what he could learn on his own, maybe try to solve this ahead of time. So with that in mind, the party left. You guys ran into a couple of different instances of issues out here in the wilderness, but primarily what you had was you guys were, previous session fighting this strange Naga that had come out of this portal of the Shadow World that has become far too frequent. And then you guys also had to kill your pet, or good friend Stinky, perhaps you might say instead of pet. But that was unfortunate due to him being turned into a zombie. And then you guys decided, or at least some of you guys decided, to skin Stinky and take a memory of him, perhaps to be turned into a cloak or something like that down the line. You guys, with that complete, kind of watched the portal to the Shadow World to see if anything was going down there, kind of watching the rift. Eventually, at some point in time, the rift seemed to close, and that is when you realize that you're probably safe here. However, Celine's words about the Naga not being able to be truly killed on the Prime Material world, and it would simply recompose or regenerate itself after a period of time, certainly still left some concerns in your minds. With that complete and the risk of the danger of the Shadow World gone, Tavern decided to make his way back to Castle Cerilia just to make sure that any of the sort of bureaucratic stuff that he's been waiting on hasn't gotten too much paperwork piling up on his desk there. So he decided to leave. The rest of the team decided to make their way over, still checking out this situation with the loggers. Once you guys arrived at this recently clear-cut area, you noticed that there was a lot of stumps and things in this area. As you got a bit closer to the south, you were able to determine that there was still some tree growth here. It looks like it hadn't been completely cut in this area. There was evidence of recently cut trees nearby, and once you guys got closer and kind of investigated them, there was a whole bunch of vines and things nearby. This seemed peculiar. You didn't see any obvious signs of bodies. You didn't see any obvious signs of tools or anything else along those lines. There was, however, a large area of what looked to be turned over dirt on the ground, or turned over ground, I should say. And as you guys checked that area out, kind of started digging through it, it was very loose. It was hard to say exactly what was under there, but you guys suspected that likely it was bodies. As you were in this area, Vin spotted some movement from inside the tree area and decided to kind of walk on in there, calling out, hoping to... He had spotted a figure, wasn't sure exactly what it was, but hoping to get its attention, perhaps make contact with this individual. Unfortunately, this individual wasn't really receptive to that, and once Vin got kind of close, we found ourselves in battle as two creatures, which I believe you guys eventually learned were referred to as Vine Lords, struck out at Vin and others that kind of got close. Vin was dealt some significant damage, but did manage to back out of the forest and switch to his bow and try to maybe get a couple of shots off. The rest of the team, some of you did indeed strike at them, either shooting magic from outside of the tree line, or Serena and Blixel were kind of more up close, striking out at these creatures. We also had a strange occurrence where a swarm of beetles seemed to break free from one of the trees and strike out at one of these creatures. Altogether, it was kind of a chaotic situation, but after the team fully evacuated from the area of the trees, the creatures did not seem to follow. Of particular curiousness, I'd say two things perhaps. One is that while fighting these creatures, one of them actually uttered the word in common, go, as though indicating that you should leave the forest perhaps. However, any attempts to communicate with them were not successful. And in fact, Blixel cast a spell at one of them, and this spell requires that they hear the spell, and it had no effect on them. So it's possible that these creatures can't actually hear. So with that complete, you guys decided not to press your luck any further in the forest, and instead looked for tracks, and were easily able to find a set of tracks, multiple sets really, which looked like equipment and people being kind of moved out in this area. You guys followed those tracks out a ways and eventually found yourself on the outskirts of a more simple logging camp. Think of this as a much smaller one than the one that you had previously spent some time in your home province there where you guys grew up. Instead, this was much smaller, much more humble, you might say. When you guys arrived, the foreman or the boss of the camp seemed very much surprised that you were here and asked you not to enter the camp, stay across the bridge from this small river that separated the camp from the area you guys were at. This was a small offshoot of the Rude River. You guys engaged in conversation with him for a period of time. He also sent what was like a runner or assistant of his back to the more main area of the camp about your presence when you guys arrived, or at least that's what you guys assumed. And after you guys engaged in conversation with him, you kind of hatched this plan where with a combination of invisibility from Blixel and Dean turning into a hunter spider, small little hunter spider, and making his way in there to scope things out, try to get some additional information. With this plan, you were able to learn that there was an individual, a woman in this camp, who the foreman of the camp seemingly did not want you guys to know that she was there. When Dean actually entered and was climbing around, he got a good look at her. She had a very prominent appearance, we'll say, and she seemed to be a bit annoyed of this whole endeavor. So Dean stayed there as long as he could to try to see what he could learn. Eventually, after overhearing information and doing this, I think twice actually the team did this, was able to learn the woman's name was Milena, or at least that's what they refer to her as. And it seemed as though she, again, was pretty annoyed at this kind of like having to hide, perhaps. So Dean was trying to gather some information there, determine what this was. Was she the leader of this group or not? Couldn't really determine that. Eventually, once the team kind of reconvened on the other side of the river, was able to get some supplies from the foreman, where, again, asked an assistant who dropped the container, who was, had the supplies in it, broke. That bought you guys some more time to continue the reconnoiter of the camp. But eventually, you guys did reconvene on the west side of this small river. And then after everybody was filled in, you guys kind of split up a bit as some of you started taking a short rest. And the rest of you guys took this tree line down and was trying to basically get to like the northwest part of the camp, assuming there was another exit from the camp there that didn't involve crossing the small river, and trying to keep eyes on that. While heading in that direction, there was the sound of hoofbeats that could be heard. So that was Vin and Serena at least were over there. I don't recall if there was a third or not. You guys can let me know once I ask, but at least the two of them, and then listening, heard those sound of hoofbeats, and as the pair kind of broke through the tree line, tried to see if they could spot the riding horse, did notice a trail of dust to the northwest, indicating that a horse perhaps had come from this direction and had gone at a quick speed to the northwest. So once that separate party came back to the main party, filled everybody in on what had occurred, the party then decided to go out that direction, see if they could track down where the horse was going. So made their way over there, and Celine, surprisingly, on traveling there, spotted a strange horn on the ground. Seemed to be almost like a horn to amplify hearing. Put one end in your ear, big end on the other side to listen better, and was able to determine this was a pretty simple magic item. So perhaps the horse rider had dropped this, hard to say. But the team decided to travel that direction following the path of the horse, see what they could find. Eventually spotted a small encampment. It almost looked like a mini war camp, perhaps, somewhere between 30 and 40 individuals, likely based on the size of the tents and things that were currently deployed. With that information in hand, team kind of gauged what exactly to do, started plotting some additional, invisibility, perhaps sneak in, see what they could find, and that is where we left off last session. So, guys, that's my bit of meandering recap. I'm sure I missed stuff in there. Is there anything anybody would like to add?
So when we approached the trees, Dean cast Tree Speak and was able to see the vision of the vines that were killing the loggers. And so we knew we're in the right spot.
Yes, indeed. He was able to spot the fact that the vines seemingly formed into like spears and struck out at the loggers, which previously the information was there were piercing wounds, but no signs of any arrows or anything at the scene. This seemingly lined up with what happened. So yeah, good addition there, Dean. Go and take inspiration. Anybody else?
I remember along the path to track down the mysterious rider, Celine found a discarded magical item, ear horn of hearing.
Yep, that was in the recap. Yeah, so you did indeed
All right.
discover that. Nope, you're good. All right, if there is nothing else to add, I will go ahead and deal out a
Uh,
card, everybody.
I was just going to add the name of the foreman. Did we say that already?
It has not been said, no.
I think it was something like Liam and Happer.
Lehman Happer, yes, indeed. He was indeed the boss or the foreman of this logging camp. Yep, go and take inspiration, Blixel. All right, dealing out a card to everybody. Take a moment to review your card. Okay, so a little bit of different cards in the mix this time. That's always good. All right, so let's get everybody back over to the map. So as a reminder, Tabard is currently back in Castle Cariele. However, the rest of the team, you guys are kind of on the outskirts of this camp. Feel free to decide what you'd like to do.
I think the plan was turn 2 people invisible and they go in and investigate the camp, right?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to do.
All right,
Before we go, let's talk about it for a second, Dean. What exactly is it that you and I will both be doing? One of us kind of getting a count, or what is it you'll be looking for?
Well, if I go at all, but I think our plan last week was that that I was going to go and just observe or something, and you were going to do something else. To be honest, I don't quite remember what our plan was. I do remember that we are going to go invisible. 2 people were.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to establish now, at least a somewhat of a plan. So maybe you can see if you can get a count of them. How many?
Right, and then maybe you go further into stuff.
See if I can steal something. Okay.
Are there
Something goes wrong.
hey Adam, are there like palisades at this village, this area we're in? Not a village.
Palisades. No, I will say you do notice that there are some defensive kind of structures. So think of this as like wood logs in a line kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by
Oh, yeah.
palisade, unless that's what you're aiming for.
Well, I'm just if I'm to get numbers, obviously I want to be high. So even if I could turn into a spider and not be invisible, but get really high on a tree or something, that I'm trying to assess. So Dean's looking around to see, okay, well, if I want to see how big this camp is, then how is there a place I can go really high and see?
I mean, not right in the camp. You could certainly go to any of the trees on the outskirts of the camp to do so. But I will say, this is a fairly small camp as far as war camps go. And you were able to previously gauge that there's somewhere between 30 and 40 people likely in this camp based on the number of tents. So altogether, you might expect there to be, say, 5 tents set up. One kind of looks like the what you consider the command tent. It's in the central location, a little bit bigger, a little bit more decorated, that sort of thing. And then 4 other tents nearby. Based on the size of them, you're guessing each of those tents can hold somewhere between like 5 and 7 people. So that's what you're guessing, somewhere between 30 and 40 people.
The only concern I have, Lord Bjorn Glandinel, is that your footfall. You could make footprints walking around, and so something to be aware of. And that, I mean, I don't know if we could. If I don't think 2 people need to go, unless there's like a rescue plan.
Well, if you're a spider, you wouldn't be able to retrieve anything to bring back.
That's true.
My only thought of having 2 people go is if one goes and something goes wrong, There is no. It's a hostage situation, right? But if two go and something happens to one, the other can inform the party quicker, cause a distraction or diversion, something along those lines.
All right. As you
Yeah.
guys are discussing this amongst yourselves, remember you're still in the tree line and the outskirts, perhaps 100 yards from this encampment, around a little bit of a bend. You notice a couple of individuals moving away from the encampment and starting to come your way on this very rough dirt path. They look to be two young men, maybe even boys, and they're kind of moving at a pretty quick pace.
Right. Everyone scatter into the woods.
Yeah, and I'll find a place to hide.
Yeah, retreat back a little bit, Adam. Maybe 30, 40 feet off of the road into the woods. Right? We're in the woods, right?
You're on this rough trail, and again, the rough trail isn't fully wooded, but yes, on either side of this rough trail is fully wooded.
Sure, yeah. I'll like grab maybe Blixel or Saline, whoever's close to me there, and like dart off towards the woods to like get low. Oh, I see Noah's back. Well,
So
how far
think of
away do
it
we
this
feel?
way to try to keep this simple. If you want to remain by the path but in the woods, basically you're trying to be able to either listen to what is occurring here or get good eyesight on what is occurring here, maybe take action, right? Then I'm going to assume you're close in the woods. If you want to be deep in the woods, the chances of you being spotted are almost nothing, but you also won't be able to do anything quickly, you won't be able to hear much, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, my stealth isn't that great, so I'm going to not risk it. So I'll go a little deeper into woods.
Deeper.
All right, so we got Serena, we got Blixel, we got Dian in Deep Woods. How about Vin? I heard you say kind of stay close. Is that still your plan?
How far away are they? And you said they're traveling quickly. Are they on foot?
They are on foot. Yep. So the encampment's about 100 yards from you. So they're like at a jog. So think that they're coming out and they're probably moving somewhere like 45 feet in around.
And can you remind me how long it took us to get here from the camp?
Um, Probably about 15 minutes,
Okay. I'm
maybe a
gonna
little
dart
longer.
off. I'm gonna dart off deeper into the woods and try to find one of the homies.
Is that one of your own allies?
Yeah, like Brian maybe, or I mean Dean or Serena maybe.
All right, so far I've heard 4 Deep Woods. Who am I missing? Saline, how about you?
I'm not hanging out by the trail. Are you kidding?
All right,
I'm following the group.
all right, so the full group goes Deep Woods then, so that that certainly makes it easy. So you guys all retreat off of the dirt path. You go pretty deep into the woods, probably 70, 80 feet, something like that. Again, you can't really see much now because there's so many trees between you and the path. You're listening. It is kind of quiet. I would say you can hear the sound of these two young men or boys approaching and like crossing the path, and they seem to be talking to each other, but they're talking and kind of moving at the same time, so they're a bit like out of breath. You might think of this as you can't really even make out the words. It's just like maybe a single word here or there, like oh go, that kind of thing. It's very much broken up. But yeah, they simply pass by where you guys are and seem to be continuing to jog in the direction of the logging camp.
So when they get like maybe past where we can hear even just muffles or anything, I'm gonna look and say, should we jump them or let them pass?
And it's pretty close to the camp to be doing stuff like that.
I don't want the whole guild after me.
I think it's smarter to let them go. I agree.
Okay, so once they pass, you guys wait here, say 5 minutes. It is quite quiet. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, quiet. What is your plan?
All right. Who's getting the blessing?
I think we stick with the same plan. We go get an idea, see if we can hear or see anything. Get an idea of what this camp is and why they're here.
Yeah. And, you can figure out if it's on the up and up with the guild, whatever they're doing. Seems pretty shady. I don't know if it's just this one foreman working or not, but just don't get caught. And
Right.
Books will hold out his hands to the two of them.
Well, I'm going to use my last wild shape then. Hunter Spider, Adam.
Okay.
And I'm gonna climb. You see me morph into a spider, and I climb up on Vin's shoulder. Ooh. Does that? Oh, that means if you drop. No, I want you to turn me invisible first, and then I'll climb on Vin's shoulder so we can go together.
I can turn you both invisible right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
I just wish I had known I would have to touch a spider's leg. I don't like that.
I'm fine. I just kind of
That's
move
already?
it like, give me it.
Why do you have so many hairs? Ugh. All right. Look, so
Well, those are sensory.
oh, well, that's even grosser. I don't want you feeling my vibrations too much, do you? You got a wife and a child. All right, here we go. And Buxel will cast invisibility, 3rd level.
All right, so this is targeting both Vin and Spider Dia.
Yes.
Okay, so remember, you guys are about 80 feet in the woods or so, and you are now invisible.
All right, everyone. Perhaps you stay here in the woods, away from the path, just in case those two guys come back.
Sure.
You ready, Dean? I can't see you, so I'm guessing you're still on my shoulder.
He's squeaking.
All right. And I'll start making my way back to the path, Adam, and follow the path into the camp. Maybe before we get into the camp, maybe I would say like maybe 20 yards, 30 yards out to hold up, and then I'll put them down into the grass so we can separate.
20 or 30 yards away from the camp, you said you're doing that?
Sorry, I've been watching football all day. 20 to 30 feet is fine, I guess. It just depends on like when we start approaching the camp, if it's everyone's in the tents or are there people outside or things like that. But my guess is, I'll put him down. He'll go one way, scurry off and do his job. I'll go one way, scurry off and do my job.
All right, so yeah, you guys follow this rough dirt path, getting closer and closer to the encampment. Once you're about 60 feet or so from the encampment, you do notice that there are guards posted at each tent. So think 2 guards in front of each tent. They look to be dressed in pretty simple attire. Think like hide armor for some of them. The rest of them might be wearing like chainmail. They all seem to have spears or shields. There's a variety of weapons here, though. Some swords, axes, hammers, that sort of thing. But most curiously, as you're approaching, again, you're about 50 feet away as you're getting closer and closer to these tents, you notice a cat moving like in between the tents. And this seems a little bit odd because, where did like a house cat come from? And then you see another one in like another area, and then a third one, and then a fourth one. And it's kind of strange as you're watching. It's almost like these cats are circling the tents.
And I don't like the look of that. Last time I tried to infiltrate a camp of soldiers, there was a quiet alarm. Maybe these cats are patrol kitties? That sounds weird. I know you can't speak to me, but how about this? If you think we should still go in, will you tickle my neck?
You said they look like they're. Are they separated from each other? The cats?
Yeah, they're circling the tents. So imagine like a cat kind of sauntering, stops, looks around a bit. Occasionally it sits down, maybe starts like cleaning its face for a moment. But within 30 seconds or so, it starts moving again. And as you're just sitting here kind of watching them, you get the impression that, yeah, these cats are just kind of circling the tents, making full rotations every minute or two.
So I could do a nature check or something if you wish, but I can tell that's non. Oh, I'm actually an expert in lions, right? So would I definitely determine this is probably an unnatural pacing for cats?
I would say even without a check, I mean, cats aren't usually like structured like this. They're very, kind of chaotic and just do what they feel like. So seeing them kind of move around like this is certainly odd. Whether it's magic or training or something else, you're not sure.
Well, you can't train cats. Okay, just kidding. What was your command? What am I supposed to do to your ear to say if we leave?
No, it's if we're still going to sneak in, tickle my neck.
Okay, I do not tickle his neck.
Okay, so not feeling anything, I'm going to kind of retreat backwards a little bit and go back towards where our people were. See if I can find them back into the woods.
All right. So again, you walked that bit to the camp, obviously trying to be a bit quiet. You then make your way back through the woods. All together, I'd say this probably took you guys 25 minutes or so. But yes, you meet back up with the full group.
Oi, can you hear me? Psst, Blixel.
Eh? Oh, what's up? You back already?
That was fast.
God.
What'd you learn?
I did not want to get caught. And it appears there's like 5 or 6 cats patrolling around the tents. I've never seen anything like it, but it did not look normal.
Okay, but you're invisible.
Aye. But invisibility does not stop that alarm trap, or if these are some magically enhanced kittens. I do not know what you all can do, but I have seen Celine blow some things up on fire. I've seen you make people fall to the ground in laughter by force. I do not know if these things have some kind of magical ability to see us invisible.
Probably smell you more likely.
Perhaps. But before we went in, we figured it was best to come and ask, do you think we should still risk it?
Anyone got any perfume or something to make them not smell so bad?
Perfume is
I feel
still
like that
smell.
really smell more noticeable. Right?
Well, we just got to figure out what the cats won't react to.
I mean, I have an idea. We don't have too much longer on this invisibility because it took us a while to traipse back here, but I could cause a distraction and give D and Spider time to investigate.
And you're the count. If you get caught, it's really bad. It could be the start of a war with the guild. I think if anything, Dean should cause a distraction for you.
Okay. Dan, can you come out of your form like that and stay invisible? Oh, right, he can't talk. Well, we still need to get the information. So, Dean, if you can hear me, tickle my neck with one of your spider arms if you want to make a distraction for me.
I'll tickle your arm, but just that. Okay, I'll make a distraction for you. But let me look.
Well, be quick about it. Visibility is only about another half hour here, guys.
All right, I'll turn around and start walking back, giving Dean time to think about it while I'm already walking back towards the camp.
Adam, would I have anything to mask people's scent in a disguise kit?
No, I wouldn't think so. I would think that's mostly perfumes, makeup, that sort of thing. I don't think there would be anything that would hide scents.
So I'll break my form, Adam, and be a Dean again, and then I can say this to Blixel. I can conjure animals. Like I can conjure 8 CR quarter creatures and have them like run through the camp or run by the camp.
Yeah, like squirrels or something the cat wants to kill.
Don't forget our house rules, however, that any summoning spells are limited to 2 creatures,
Even though they're not in combat.
even though they're not in combat.
Two deer, or maybe 2 bear. Maybe bears are too much.
Well, also the issue is if they kill the spirits, if they kill the animals, they'll know they're fey spirits, not actual animals. So they'll know these people are intelligent, obviously, so they'll know that there's been spell casting in the area. So I don't want them attacked and killed. I just want them to the only thing I can think of is that they could run by and some people would like alert them and then I'll have them run off and not engage at all.
Maybe have them chase after the cats or something. 2 dogs.
Yeah, but then they'll kill the dogs. There's lots of guards there. And then if they kill the dogs, then they'll know it's a fey spirit.
They don't have to necessarily attack, right? They could be on the outside barking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to keep them at a place where it just draws the attention away, and maybe the cat's curiosity would be overwhelmed, and you might have a shot.
Well, just understand, Dean, that your invisibility will drop when you do that, so make sure you're in a place that you can hide again.
You can make a whole bunch of other cats, or 2 big cats.
I can only make 2. So 1 beast of 2 or lower, or 2 beasts of 1 or lower. CR1.
Wow. We gotta go quick if you want to stay invisible. I can't do this again, so it's up to you guys if you want to risk it.
Okay, I got foxes. I got fox. CR1 is like foxes. I can do CR0, cats, foxes. CR1, I can do a brown bear.
Well,
And
Dean,
just
I have another idea.
direwolf.
Outside of you using magic, I have some whiskey here in this couple of bottles from the Hoghead. You know, I always keep whiskey with me, but what about we take some of the end of a torch, right? Some of the wrapping, dump it in, and you could light it on fire and throw it. I'm sure a fire
Fucking
would cause
Molotov, a military camp.
Yeah, I'm not. They would investigate that and see that it wasn't an accident.
Well, there's enough of a time period for me to get in there and look.
That would also probably put them on high alert, though.
High alert means things tend to be overlooked. But I'm just thinking of ideas.
Okay,
I mean, I like
I
the
could
idea
do-
of dogs
could-
barking.
I could do giant eagles. I don't think the humans or the humanoids will attack a giant eagle flying, but they might distract the cats.
Oh yeah, no, just have the giant eagles swoop down and pick up the cats and kill them and get rid of them.
Either way, we got to go.
Oh, okay.
We don't have much time.
All right, Adam.
Yeah.
What's
Whatever
my
you decide,
communication?
Ian.
It says here they can create them within 60 feet. How many posted? So
Hang on, Adam. I don't think that would be 10 minutes, though, right? I mean, you said it took us 25 minutes to get back to the camp. So that means 35 minutes left, and this conversation couldn't have been 10 minutes long.
Maybe it just feels like it's 10 minutes long, but that's what I'm gauging it at.
So it says I verbally give them commands. So I can't give them any more commands once they're over the camp because they'll hear me giving commands. So I need to give one command when I create them and tell them distract the cats and then fly away.
Sure, but remember that your conjured animals still have a base intelligence of an animal. So when you say distract, that's not going to make a whole lot of sense to a creature with an intelligence of 2.
Could you just have them circle over the camp? I mean, cats are
Cats
very.
for lunch. Cats for lunch. Cats for lunch.
Cats
Okay,
are very.
I'll tell them to circle the camp.
Cats are very afraid of stuff attacking them from above. As a cat owner of 15 years, so if they saw birds of prey flying around, they'd get nervous. I think if they're real cats, we don't even know that yet.
And
So
if we could summon illusion of a few of those vine lords coming out of the woods, that might do the trick too.
okay, we're gonna stick with the conjure Fae. So it's gonna be I'm gonna do 2 eagles, giant eagles, and have them circle above the camp.
All right, so you're casting the spell here while you're in the woods, and then your verbal command to them is going to be fly over to the camp, which is, roughly that direction. Once you see the camp, just circle above it.
Yes. Am I
Okay.
concentrating? Good. Okay.
And are you sending them right away, or are you trying to time it so that you're walking there and then they get there?
I'll wait right about when Dean gets into the camp. Like,
Well, no. If you cast a spell, you're not invisible anymore.
no, I meant not Dean. I'm gonna wait until Vin gets where he was, where we saw the cats before.
Have them swoop a little low, yeah?
Now remember, you're not
can't
going to
do-
be able to see Vin, so where are you planning to be when you cast the spell?
In the woods or by the, not so deep in the woods because there's no one else on the road. I'm gonna walk up a little closer and then conjure them and then send them off.
Okay, yeah, you could do that. Now, again, as far as timing, if you're trying to time this where, like, Vin's getting ready to run right into a tent or something, you're not going to be able to see him, so you're
Right,
not going
right.
to know.
Right when he walks into the property. Or near the property.
So to make it easy, give me a number of feet away from the camp that you want to be when you cast the spell.
Well,
Let's just say like 100 feet, right? And I'll be beside you, invisible. And then once you do it, I'll tap you on the shoulder and then I'll take off.
Well, how long does the spell last?
it lasts
Up
an
to
hour.
1 hour. So cast it now, and then bring the birds with you, and then just tell them to walk up there, and then tell them to circle the camp, and then Vin will be right there.
Okay, sounds good.
So you cast the spell now, and remember, I probably should have specified this before. You don't actually get to choose the creatures that appear. For this case, since we already spent like 30 minutes discussing this, I'm going to go ahead and give you giant eagles. But just so you know, in the future, it's actually random what appears. So yes, you cast this, 2 giant eagles appear in the woods, and now you're asking them to kind of walk with you out to the path. We'll assume you guys do that. You're back out to the path. You're no longer invisible. Vin is invisible. 2 giant eagles are kind of walking on the ground with you. You guys are there. So now that you're about 100 feet away from the camp, are you sending those eagles into the camp at this point?
I'm sending them flying around the camp, circling the camp. And,
Okay.
And then I'm going back into the woods.
Okay, so you give the command to ask them to fly up over the camp. So I'll say again, you start backing away, you give this command, then you realize the eagles like take flight, you start moving closer. The eagles fly obviously faster than you're moving here. They get to the camp before you, they start circling up above head. As this occurs,
okay.
again, yeah, so giant eagles, of course, are large beasts, so they're very, very, big in the sky. It'd be pretty hard to miss them. So as this occurs, you hear the sound of like a shout out in the camp, and this is now echoed. Then you see more people kind of come out of these tents. They're kind of looking in the air. You're about, say, 40 feet away from the camp at this point, Vin, still invisible. You notice that the cats that are nearby, they're all actually looking up, almost like in unison, and just seemingly staring in that direction. You see, again, a lot of these kind of like guardsmen or soldiers coming out. They're looking kind of cautiously. You notice a couple of them kind of motioning, and you see several people start getting ready with bows, crossbows, that sort of thing. And they're all kind of like looking up and prepared.
Okay, I'm going to take that as my cue. I'm going to like push myself off of kind of like a crouch and start moving like sneakily, of course, towards the I'm veering away from any cats that I see. I want to keep a wide berth, but I want to go towards that command tent.
Okay, yep, you can certainly do that. Now keep in mind there's cats by all of these tents, so there's no wide berths away from the cats. But as
Are
you
they
get
just sitting outside of each tent?
yes,
I thought they were walking around and patrolling.
they were, but now that there's eagles above head, they're literally just standing in place and looking straight up.
That's okay. Are any of the tents open? Are the flaps open?
Not currently, but they don't look like they're sealed or anything. It looks like you could just kind of throw them open.
Yeah, throwing open anything right now does not sound like a good plan. So can maybe I like put my get behind one of the tents, kind of like Anakin Skywalker style, outside of the Tatooine hut, and just listen. I want to get as close to the command one as I can, the tent, and listen and see if I can hear.
You can, but that would involve you basically being in the middle of the encampment. Are you okay with that?
Is there a visual, Adam?
No. The best I can explain, like I said, think of it as like a central tent surrounded by other tents. So if you want to be behind the command tent, you're basically dead set in the middle of the encampment.
Okay. Well, then let's ixnay the command tent idea, seeing the layout of the encampment. Vin would try to go to where he could hear a good concentration of chatter. So
Okay.
he wants to just and he's looking out for a couple of things. One, he wants to see any kind of tabard or iconology that symbolizes who these people are fighting for or with or anything like that. And then two, he's also going to look at uh, if there's any kind of rank, because he knows in the army that you'll have foot soldiers, you have archers, you've got scouts. He'll try to see if he can break down, is this a mercenary group, is this trained soldiers, something like that.
Okay, fair enough. So throw me a blind check. This is going to represent your efforts to try to sneak close enough to one of these tents to try to hear stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so once you're kind of approaching, you're like 50 feet away, you're 40 feet away, you're 30 feet away. Once you get to about 25 feet away, you notice one of the cats lowers its head and looks right in your direction and starts like running towards you.
Okay. Then I'll retreat. I'll take a east, like if I'm looking north at the cat, I'm gonna go east or west, like straight in one, like a parallel to the camp.
Okay, so as you try to avoid the cat as best you can, you rush to the east. The cat kind of gets to where you were. You notice that it kind of like sniffs the air and it pauses for a moment. And as you're making your way east, trying to, again, stay away from this cat, you notice out of the command tent comes this woman who is red-haired. As she steps out, she is wearing armor. She scans exactly where you just were moments ago, and she shouts, "We have an intruder in the camp!"
Okay, I'm going to make my way like a 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock kind of thing back towards where my party is, and yeah, I don't want to push it any further because I know that I'm the count, and I definitely don't. It looks like she can see me, and the cats know where I can be, so I want to avoid that any way possible.
Okay, so you back off completely as you're kind of making your way back towards the party, keeping your head just kind of over your shoulder to see what's going on. You do notice that another person exit out of that tent, looks to be dressed more in like robes and things. You notice them beginning to cast a spell, but you're already quite a distance away at that point, and yeah, you eventually get back to your party.
Okay, all right. Yep, they were patrol kitties.
What?
Let's go.
Do they know we're here?
They know that there's intruders, but
Oh,
I mean,
I'm getting the fuck out of here. All right, get rid of your eagles. And Buxton starts making his way out of there.
not towards the camp, right? We want to go, uh, I don't know, like let's say that here is the camp, and then here is the like mercenary camp. Like I'm thinking we go like something like this.
So the logging camp is to your southeast. The war encampment is to your northwest. You're about 120 yards or so now away from the war encampment. You're about 25-minute walk from the logging camp. So if you're trying to avoid both of those, going southwest would be your best course.
And is that taking us towards Tourville or Drozone or
That
back
takes you
towards
back
Carolina?
towards your capital city.
Okay, yeah, I think it's best to turn around and start moving back there. And I'll say, I got to about 25 feet away from the tents, and one of the cats turned and looked right at me, sprinted to where I was, and then that Milena girl, I think you mentioned, or the red-haired one, came out and looked in my direction. She didn't see me, of course, because I was long gone. I believe. It didn't look like they ever saw me.
Yeah. They got some weird stuff going on. Cat guards.
I assume you're moving as you guys are talking. You're trying to move southwest at a fairly decent pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys exit this area, pushing through the woods, getting back onto that rough dirt path for just a little bit as you push into some more woods, still going southwest here. After traveling for about an hour or so, the trees really thin out. You get into more areas that have been recently logged, so it's mostly open area with a lot of stumps and things. The traversing at that point gets much easier. You guys travel for another hour or so. At this point, if I remember correctly, it was pretty late already, so it is getting quite late to the point where you're getting ready to bunk down.
So can I get an assessment of how close we are to Carolinian from my experience in Riverford?
Yes, I can give you an estimate. You think you're probably about a 6-hour walk from Carolinian.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we're quite far away still.
Yeah, we're not going to make it there in the dark either. Who do you think those people were?
I don't know. But Vin described one as having robes when he left the tent, so that was probably the magician. I didn't see the redhead with any arcane focus or component pouch when I saw her at the logging camp.
I don't like the guild having secret troops that they're sending places or working with. Or this is bad.
They were dressed in armor, hide and chainmail, and carried swords and bows and crossbows and axes and instruments of war. Interesting.
All right, so is it your intention here to sleep out overnight, tents and so forth, and then try to wake up in the morning and make your way back to Carolinian?
I don't know if we should rest out in the open. We disturbed that area. Us getting back to the capital would probably be best, even if it's a little rough on us.
That's why I was looking. We're about 6 hours walk. How confident do I feel that I know where I am, Adam? As a
Pretty confident. Yeah, you don't think you would get lost, but if again you're going at night, that makes
yeah,
things a bit more challenging. But based on like how well you know this area and the areas that have been like cut down pretty significantly, you know that between here and the capital, there's only two more copses of trees that are somewhat significant. The rest has already been clear cut.
well, we could tough it out.
All right,
Well,
fine.
if we think about it like this, the guild knows that we stopped by that camp, they gave us some food, and then we took off. Like an hour later, there was an intruder at their war encampment, although they will not be able to prove that it was anybody in particular. However, if we wake up in our beds tomorrow morning, our attendance there will be hard to prove.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we should keep moving. I feel pretty confident I can get us where we need to be.
Oh shit.
What pace would you guys like to move? As I'm reading what Serena posted.
I guess a brisk pace for the
Yep.
first little portion.
So
And then
for pace, it's either
Uh,
normal, fast, or slow.
fast.
Okay, so moving fast, you'll be able to cover 4 miles per hour instead of 3, but you do get a penalty to your passive perception. Except for Serena.
okay. I think we all grew up in this area, so I think we feel confident in our survival skills.
Okay, so you guys start the forced march at this point, trying to get the 18 miles or so back to camp, which would normally take you about 6 hours, but based on going fast pace now, shouldn't take as long. So after traveling for the first hour, everybody except Serena, please give me a Constitution saving throw. You can make these publicly.
I get advantage on one.
Okay. Okay, you guys march the first hour without any ill effects. You continue marching for another hour, another set of checks.
Let me add 2 to that, Adam.
Okay, so everybody except Blixel succeeds. Blixel, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion or weariness. Go ahead and add 1 weariness to you. You guys continue pushing on at the fast pace.
Come on, Kappa Counselor. Keep the
Yeah.
knees high.
Ah, you try walking in this armor. Sweat.
Speaking of which, this breastplate that lady made is like half the weight of a normal breastplate. It's quite nice.
All right, you guys keep pushing on, moving through this open area. Occasionally, especially those of you that don't have dark vision, if you're using, say, a torch or some other light source, doing the best you can. But every now and again, you're kind of tired. You trip over a stump, maybe even go sprawling a bit, pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and continue on. You guys travel for another hour. Go ahead and give me another set of checks. Okay, and all right, that's already factored in there, so that's good. So, yes, you all succeed. You've traveled for 3 fast pace hours, which get you 12 miles. You move again another hour, another set of checks. All right, obviously, DN, you'll fail that, suffering a point of weariness.
That
Dylan,
is
stop.
3 nat 20s. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know
You
you
should
want to
have
go
fought him.
fast, but
He is high knees. He's tucking and rolling through the trees.
All right, so you guys are getting very close to the capital now. It's not even another full hour, so I'm not going to make you guys roll a check. But you do eventually find yourselves on the outskirts of the capital. It is late at this point, so imagine it is about midnight around that period of time. You're pretty tired. Those of you with weariness obviously have that, but even without weariness, you're just pretty tired overall. But yeah, you do make it back to the capital city.
Good work, everyone. I turn and look behind me.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
get in the
good
castle.
job.
Plausible deniability. Let's go.
And just from a mechanical perspective, Serena, you were able to move 10 hours, so technically you should have made 2 of those checks, but it's not going to matter in the long run, so no worries. But yes, you guys make it back to the capital and move all of us over to the capital map. And is it your intention basically to just go to the castles and crash? Or go to the castle and crash?
I'm going to dip over to the Hogshead.
I try to find Tavard in the castle, and then I crash and let him fill him in on basically what happened.
Okay, on midnight, I imagine that Tavard's probably sleeping in his room. Is that a fair assessment, Tavard?
Yeah, when he knocks on the door, as they remember, I'm a very sound sleeper. I don't hear him.
I use prestidigitation to make a clapping noise.
What do you mean? What are you doing? Open it. Get away from my door.
Hey, just listen. I think, given your current occupation for the count, you want to know what happened after you left.
Oh, Blixel, it's you. Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. I'm coming.
All right. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Well, it seems as though there's some shady troops somewhere up near where we were. The guild leader was trying to hide them from us of some kind. You might want to, I don't know, send some of your little birdies out there to figure out what's what.
Isn't that Dean's job? He's the druid. He knows birds.
Yeah, I mean, it's above my pay grade, but I'm going to hit the hay, all right?
Yeah, so you basically told me nothing and you're gonna go to sleep. Okay, yeah, good.
Good night.
All right, so as Tavern goes back to sleep, the four of you make your way to your beds. Vin, you're on your own, headed to the Hog's Head. You arrive there. It doesn't take you too long. As you pass through the door, you notice that there's hardly anybody here, as you'd expect. It's super late. There's the typical one old guy that's always in every bar, just kind of like leaning back again, like a bench area. He kind of just raises his head tiredly as he sees you enter. You don't even notice Fran or any of the other workers here at the moment, but it is pretty quiet.
Is Fafnir here?
If he is, he's not in the common room. Again, keep in mind it's like midnight right now.
I'm just gonna wander through, maybe grab a beer if there's one like lingering around, and see if I can find Fafnir.
All right, as you approach the counter and start looking around for any, either bottles or maybe mugs that you could get some beer, you do notice that the door to like the back kitchen kind of area opens, and you notice Fran kind of wiping at her eye a moment, and she looks and she says, "Oh, it's you. Wow, I wasn't expecting you. What can I get for you?"
A beer, friend, and is Fafnir here?
Oh, no, I don't think he is now. He was here before, but I haven't seen him in, I don't know, a day or so.
If you see him again, will you tell him to stop by the castle?
Yes, of course, my lord. And you see she takes a clean mug, which she just wipes really quick with a cloth, over to a large keg and just kind of uses the nozzle deal here to add some ale to this, and slides it over to you.
When she slides it to me, I'm just gonna kind of grab it and look at her and say, "And friend, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Oh, yes. Oh, what is that?
When Michael of Moriad was here, and we came here that morning, I understand that Miele told you to do something.
What?
Well, where you asked us to go and meet Michael, Miele was
Oh,
also there.
well, no. You see, that was through an intermediary. I was told that Lord Michael wanted to meet you and where to meet him, and then after everything happened, he informed me that he actually hadn't asked that, and instead that was a plot by Miele. So no, of course I would never direct you to any area of danger. I thought that you were going to meet Lord Michael. I thought he had asked for your presence.
Can I insight check her at him?
Yeah, you can make a blind check. He seems really tired.
It's all right, friend. I'm not accusing you. It's just she has a lot of power, a lot of reach.
Yes, that is very true, my lord. She is, well, forgive me for saying so, but clearly the most powerful person in this area.
Do you ever think she would do our people harm? Carolinians, that is. And I'll take a sip of my beer.
You notice she chuckles. Well, yes, of course she would if it gained her something or if it was somehow advantageous for her to do so.
I see. Well, like I said about Fafnir, if you see him, send him to the castle. It doesn't matter the hour. Tell him to stop by.
I
If you
certainly
don't
will,
mind,
my
I'm
lord.
gonna take this to go.
Yes, of course. If you get around to it, just bring the mug back to me.
I'll bring it back.
And you see she smiles. Well, have a good night, my lord.
Alright, I'm gonna take off at him and make my way back to the castle.
All right, and I presume you are then heading to sleep. Oh,
Is Arthur back? It's been a couple of days.
yeah. Well, again, it's very late, so you get into the castle. You get past the guards. They obviously recognize you. You make your way in, but aside from an occasional guard on patrol or like a servant just kind of scurrying between areas, the castle's very quiet at this hour of the night.
Yeah, I'll like wander down the stairs down to the basement, grab another bottle of one of those wines, and I'll kind of sit up on my patio and have a few drinks.
Okay.
And I'll see if Celine is still awake. Because I know she gets paranoid, especially because there's a serial killer. So I'll carefully knock on the door.
I cast Fireball.
No, you don't have any booby traps set up, but I also know you're awake, and you're probably writing. Come
What do
have
you
a
want
drink with
then?
me, Celine.
Uh, sure. It's like 2 in the morning, right? And we just force marched through the night.
I just don't answer, and I just wait for her to come out the door.
I go.
So we'll go to my room and go to my patio, and then I'll grab us some cups. I'll still have my beer, and I'll pour her some wine, and I'll look at her and I'll say, "You think Miele's going to attack us?"
Um, Depends on what we do. Do you think? Are you thinking this army or group of soldiers that you spotted are under her direction?
Real quick, Adam, I don't remember making a roll after that stealth check and seeing the cat about any taverns or anything on any of the people. What did I happen to catch any glimpse of that? Could I make out any kind of symbology of who they were with?
None at all. You'll remember previously when you guys were spotting them from a distance, it was completely absent of any kind of markers, tabards, flags flying, or anything like that. You got the pretty strong impression of a group, kind of trying to go under the radar, perhaps.
Well, and change of power is usually when an empire is at its weakest. Secondly, there was no flags, there was no banners, and they also had sentries posted and magical cats that could see invisible things in our land also. They were also hiding it from us. They did not want us to know about that lady, who was obviously attached because she was in the camp and being hidden by Lehman. So yes, I think it's a direct threat. But she
I
is much
think,
more powerful than us.
but because she is the most powerful person in Cariele, why would she need to hide uh, her forces affiliation, right? Um, I think it's possible that they could be under her orders, but I also think it's possible that this is something that the guild doesn't want Miele to know, and they also or Lehman or whoever, Milena or whoever. I think it's possible that they might be hiding this from her as well. We do have a connection to her via her representative. So if it's possible they don't want her to know what they're doing, then it would make sense to hide it from us as well, since we're both in the capital. I think I think that there's a lot that we need to learn. Perhaps we can have Tavard use his resources to try to figure this out, or divert some of Serena's mustered scouts. I don't think 40 armed soldiers are going to be able to overthrow an entire kingdom in 2 weeks. So we have time to figure this out, but I just don't see the benefit to jumping to wild conclusions before we know what's going on.
Aye. And this is all council speak. We'll talk to everybody about it in the morning, but the real reason I dragged you here is I met a man named Fafnir.
Like the dragon?
He's like a, I don't know, I don't read as much as you, Celine, but he is an adventuring party leader. They seem to have a little bit of experience, but do you know about Source? Ley
What do you?
lines?
Oh, I've heard of them. Yes.
Well, when I took over the domain, I received a lot of paperwork that had a lot of information in it. I noticed that some of the source holdings in our domains are empty. They require a wizard of great strength to be able to use them, which is probably why Michael and Derek have that creepy dude that we gave that creepy jar to.
Oh yeah, Mr. Hot Topic. Yes,
Uh,
that would be his role for them. Yes.
we need it to become your role for us.
I was under the impression that Adam can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you needed a bloodline to operate the source.
If you are acting as a lieutenant, you could potentially cast a realm spell. That's a good question. Let me double check. I have a feeling you could only as a lieutenant, but not as a. Obviously, you're not a regent, so you couldn't do that. I will get that clarification for you guys.
I thought I read somewhere that you had to have a bloodline to do that, but
Well,
I
either
could be
way it
wrong.
goes, we at least need you to be able to learn how to do it. Teach someone or find out more information about them.
And are you
They won't
asking
be
me to
able
stab
to.
you in the chest?
No, goodness, no. But Fafnir, maybe we could send him and his group to go check on the eyeless one. Yes, that one. The one with made your face look like that. Because he's the owner of those source holdings in our domain, although they remain empty and not at use.
Interesting. And what would you have them do? Politely ask him not to release his holdings, or
No,
what do you mean?
investigate. Just a general investigation. Find out information about them. Obviously, they can't take on a great dark wizard by themselves, but maybe they can figure out a little bit more about the Five Peaks area and about this source magic and bring you back some information on it.
I suppose they are at your disposal, my lord, so you can do with your adventuring party what you will.
Yes, but that is not what I'm asking. I'm asking if you're okay with learning about these. They're powerful and strong, and they could give us the leg up that we need because Miele owns zero.
Okay, so the way realm spells work typically is that you have to be a regent because you're spending gold bars and regency points in the casting of a realm spell. There's one exception to that, which is known as the lieutenant action, which if you're operating as a lieutenant with the full permission of the regent, you can tap into their gold bars and regency. Regency is like a mystical force, so basically it's like the regent's will flowing into the lieutenant. Then technically the lieutenant could cast a realm spell using a source owned by the regent. But again, lieutenant action is only once per season, so at most you'd only be able to cast it once per 3 months. Hopefully
Yeah,
that provided some clarity.
so I could do it if
You could do it on
it,
a very minimal basis. Let's put it that way. Like a typical, wizard regent could technically cast a realm spell 3 times if they wanted in a season. You would only be able to do it once as part of the lieutenant action, and only 1 lieutenant action is allowed per season.
Mm-hmm. So we need Vin to multi-class to wizard like 7 times, and then
Vin's intelligence is not built for that.
Well, I'd say first you're going to want to have a source before any of that, because right now you don't have a source.
Hi. That brings me to the conversation. Will you look into that? We've got some time before the council meeting. As the seer, that's what I'm asking you.
What specifically do you want me to do?
I want you to
Just so we're
find a
on.
way that we can harness it and use it, empower our people, our troops, protect our boundaries.
So what I'm hearing is you want me to learn what sorts of realm spells can be cast, provided that we had a source, which we do not currently have. Is that
I
correct?
will leave that part to me. You find out the other part.
You got it.
And not to rush you guys along too much, but since it's just 2 of you guys here, can we wrap this conversation up and move on to the next day to get the full group back into play?
Yep, that was it. Vin just wanted to talk to her about the source stuff.
Okay, so we'll assume you guys enjoy your drinks there out on the patio and chat, but eventually, yeah, after this long, exhausting march, being quite tired, you eventually do retire to your rooms for that night and try to sleep through it. However, sometime in the night, I would like everybody to roll me a d20.
Oh man.
I beat you, Dean.
All right, Serena,
Goodness.
in your room, you are woken up at you're not even sure what time it is, really, Serena, but you're woken up suddenly, and it's kind of like a weird sensation because you suddenly just wake up and you're like, why did I wake up? You start kind of like blinking your eyes, looking around. Luckily, you've got dark vision, so you can still see in your room, even though it is dark here. The door to your room is closed, but you realize now what it was that woke you up, because as you take in a smell, a deep breath, you smell this really terrible, like, fish odor. It seems to be all in this area. It smells like raw fish are just in your bed.
My wife's here. Darn it, run!
I leap to my feet and grab my weapon because I am definitely suspicious that it's something having to do with the Shadow Realm.
All right, so you leap to your
Why
feet,
wouldn't it be?
grabbing onto your weapon, which I assume is kind of close by to your bed. As you do so, again, you scan your room, maybe even like throw your blankets back just to that terrible smell. You don't see any fish, but the odor is still strong.
Can I search my room for a source?
You can throw me a blind check. Your nose leads you to your west wall. It seems to be stronger there than on the eastern part of the wall.
First I'm gonna feel the wall to make sure it's not turning into a portal.
The wall feels maybe a little bit cool to the touch.
Next I'm going to leave my room and go into the room next door to see if there's anything on the other side of the wall.
All right, so I imagine you're just like in what is equivalent of like pajamas, and then you're holding on to the cabbage harvester walking through the hallways.
She sleeps in full hide armor. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Actually, she's gonna grab shipwrecker instead of cabbage harvester.
Okay, so shipwrecker in hand, and yeah, you make your way out into the hallway. And just in case anything should happen to be come of this, let me go ahead and put us to the castle map.
Oh man.
Oh no. Security's asleep again.
All right, Serena, you should see your token there on the map, and everybody else is currently sleeping. Feel free to move yourself about, Serena.
Sorry, I'm just refreshing. I may have made a slight mistake by trying to play on a Chromebook.
Uh-oh, real risky.
So I should probably switch at the break.
Hey, Adam, I'm going to go ahead and take that short rest that we mentioned earlier. I didn't.
Yeah, feel free. All right, so just to make it a little bit easier, Serena, I'll kind of navigate with your token if that's okay with you.
That would be great. I'm still loading.
All right, so you open your door, you exit out, you make your way over to the west. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. As you get to the other room, you realize this, of course, is Tavern's room. You go towards the front of this area to the door of Tavern's room, but you notice on the set of stairs that is just to your west now, a guard actually comes down this way and kind of looks towards you, and he's got this like look on his face that you presume he also smells this awful odor, and you see he looks at you and he says, "Oh, what, Mab, what is that?"
I say, if there's been another breach of the security of this establishment, you're going to regret it.
And you see he kind of gulps a bit. I've been on patrol. I haven't seen nothing all night.
I'm going to tell him to stick with me while we continue our investigation.
All right, he does so.
I might just look at Noah's map.
All right, fair enough. So right now you're right in front of Tavern's door. You don't hear anything out of the ordinary. Maybe a snore coming from the other side, hard to say. A little bit muffled, but yeah, the odor certainly seems to be strong here.
Yeah,
I'm going to knock on the door and try to get into Tavern's room.
You say knock on the door, or you're just trying to open it?
Well, I'm going to bang. Oh, yeah, I'll bang on it a couple times and then see if it's locked.
Tavern, roll me a d20. So you are suddenly awoken, Tavern. Your eyes kind of blink open as you hear this pounding on your door. Serena, very strangely, as you're pounding on the door, maybe that sound of the snore goes away. The odor, the fish odor, is suddenly gone.
I asked the other guy if he still smells it.
He looks around very confused. You see he looks like past you, looks up towards the stairs, looks back at you, and man, I don't, where'd it go? I don't smell it.
What the heck? Is the door to Tavern's room unlocked?
Tavern, would you have locked your door?
Heck yeah, Blixel just tried to come in not too long ago, not letting me sleep, and I'm having none of that.
The door is indeed locked. However, Tavern, you are awoken. You hear that pounding. Is there anything you do in reaction?
I'll get up and say, Blixel, god dang it, leave me alone! I said I'd look at it in the morning. Oh! Wow! You ain't Blixel!
No, I'm not.
Is there a reason why you're visiting my room at night?
There was a terrible odor coming from your room. It smelled like your fiance.
Darn cooks. They just make whatever they want around here.
Were you eating rotten fish? Because it was only coming from here.
No, I don't like. I don't eat raw fish or anything like that. No.
You have an explanation? Were you?
I was sleeping. You were dreaming. I don't know. I'll go ahead and search my room though, just in case.
This guy smelled it too.
I did indeed, sir. I did indeed. It was most awful. Oh, it was just the worst.
Well, I don't smell it in my room, so I think it was outside of my room, obviously.
That's enough
ma'am,
out of you. That's his fiance you're talking about, so please watch it.
You notice he kind of grimaces. Ma'am, if it's okay with you, I'll start searching around the area and see if I can find anything.
Please do.
And he gives you a salute as he pushes past you.
Tavard, I think this is something we should be very concerned about. You
All
never
right.
know when you're just sleeping soundly and then somebody's got a knife at your throat.
All right, well, I'll check my room, make sure there's no fish or rotten eggs or anything in my room. But I don't think the smell was me.
That was definitely you. I'm gonna stand there and watch him search his room.
Adam, I'd like to search my own room.
Yeah, give me a blind check. You don't smell this at all, so you're not even sure what you're looking for here. But no, you don't smell anything. You don't see anything odd. Your bed is just lying there like, oh, so comfortable. You're so tired. And you're just rubbing your eyes, wondering how long it's going to be before you get to go back to sleep.
I'm going to look out my windows, though, Adam, just because.
The night is dark and full of... No, the night is dark, but you see nothing else.
All right, this is going to be very odd. One moment. I'm going to close my door for a second. I want to check something. All right, I got to sniff my bed.
It smells
That's
like
one
dwarf, maybe? No, but you don't smell any fish coming from there, just your typical body odor, perhaps.
All right, it wasn't me. I wanted to make sure my sheets were clean, and I didn't want you to notice.
So you shut the door, but then as soon as you opened it,
I
you
was
told
checking
me
my
what you
sheets,
did.
you know what I mean. In case I had an oopsie.
You have dark vision, right?
Do I have... I'm a dwarf, god dang it.
I thought you were like a dwarf that spent a lot of time, ethnically speaking, in the dark.
I have no clue what that means. But I'm a dwarf, and I have good vision in the dark, because I'm a dwarf.
Okay, so you can see in the dark. I just was wondering if I
Oh
should
my
look at
gosh,
your
you need to go
windows.
back to sleep. You drank too much.
I'm gonna look out this window to the south.
You simply see the dark night. The soldier has returned, or guardsman has returned, and he says, ma'am, I've searched around here, sir. I don't see anything. I don't smell that odor anywhere. There's nothing to miss. There was a door that was open, but I think that was just opened by the staff, perhaps. I checked in that room, nothing. Closed the door. Your door, of course, is open, ma'am, but I see nothing else. I don't know. This is so strange.
Maybe we should talk about doubling the guards with the council in the morning.
Yeah, we'll do that in the morning. Good night.
You see the guardsman looks at you, Serena, and kind of like looks towards Tavern's door that was just closed. Do you want me to keep eyes on this door throughout the night?
Yeah, that would be a very good idea.
He gives you a solid salute hand right to his metal helmet. You actually hear a little ding. I will not leave this post, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm going back to bed.
You both return to sleep, and I presume, Serena, you put Shipwrecker back somewhere else and you don't sleep with it in your bed, right?
Within arm's reach, but no.
All right, fair enough. So I imagine it's probably lying on the floor easily within reach of your hand. But yeah, you return to sleep, and yeah, all of you do indeed manage to sleep into the morning without any other kind of odd occurrences. So as each of you wakes up and begins your day, I presume you guys are doing various, typical kind of downtime stuff, maybe grabbing a bite to eat, drink, that sort of thing. As a reminder, you are currently not expected for an official session of council for still some time yet, but I did overhear some of you guys discuss this as a group. So are you wanting to do like another impromptu session of council?
Can we? I'm just gonna reset my spell list so I don't get caught off guard again. So I don't. Whatever you guys decide, but we get long rest, right?
You do indeed, yes.
Even if we were up in the middle of the night hallucinating smells?
Yeah, so it would give you a bit of an interruption. You might sleep in a little bit later the next day, but yeah, you would still get your long rest.
I'm gonna ask if everybody can gather for breakfast or something like that via the servants to share what's happening.
For ease of assets, is it safe to assume you would take your breakfast in the council chambers, perhaps?
Why not?
All right. All right, so you guys reconvene after a couple of hours in the morning, waking up, having eaten some breakfast, perhaps, have some dishes, that kind of stuff here. A few odds and ends, maybe some beverages, some food is still here on the table. And yeah, I imagine you're kind of all just finishing up a little bite and looking at each other expectantly.
I'm gonna tell everybody what happened with Stinky Tavern. Maybe it was Stinky coming back and visiting us.
Rufus.
I think it probably was your. Was it your shoulder wrap?
You all know what the Shadow Realm smells like at this point, and that's what it smelled like.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it just went away instantly is sort of weird.
What was the triggering event to make it go away? What happened? What were you doing at that time?
Trying to wake up Tavern.
And Tavad, you do not remember the smell yourself?
Did not remember it because it wasn't there. I think she's just sleepwalking.
Do you remember your dreams a lot of the time, Tabard?
Probably not.
Did you dream last night?
If I did, it was private.
All right. Do you say so?
I don't even want to know what you dreamed, dude.
Oh, I don't really
fully
remember my
agree
dreams
on
that
one.
much.
Well, let's put a pin in that for now. And let's talk about what we saw yesterday while we have a moment. I'm assuming it's just the six of us, right, Adam?
Unless you're asking for others to be in attendance, it's just the six of you.
It seems
Can we do like
suspicious, right?
Can we do some kind of research to find out who that redhead was? Like, I don't know how to
Yeah.
conduct it.
Well, we have a name. Perhaps Lord Tannen is familiar with many of the lords and dignitaries and such. Perhaps he might know something, but it's kind of a weird question to float, I suppose.
Right, but we are proposing that this person was noble or had some connection to some kind of court. And I
I'm
just
not necessarily that she's noble, but if she's a known figure, like if there's information about like a mercenary band or affiliation, she could be some kind of ranking soldier in a neighboring province that we might know through their records. I'm not sure, but it doesn't hurt to ask unless we think the guild will hear about it, and if we think the guild is on their side against us.
Yeah, worst that happens is the guild has to spring their trap early.
I wonder if there's just a simple visitor's log that even the Lord Tannen has kept that we could just look at, and maybe that name might be listed in there.
all valuable options. We could also look into what mercenary groups are around for hire. See if they've got word themselves of any other groups that have been hired. However, It does not strike me that they were just simple mercenaries. They looked well organized. Not to say that mercenaries are undignified, but those tents, you saw them, Dean.
Well, clearly they did not want to be known of any allegiance, but they were very well fortified and covered by powerful magic. That you described that gentleman leaving the tent where she was dressed in robes, and you actually saw him try to cast a spell. So these are formidable people. There's got to be a record of something somewhere. Of not necessarily in a visitor log, but also in the annals, maybe the general council or historical books.
Oh, I volunteer to not look at that stuff. That sounds real boring. I think it's a good idea.
But we have to think practically.
Not it.
When are they going to strike? Who are they going to strike? These are things we need to know.
Well, there's like 40 of them.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. They they didn't look like a warring party, right, my lord?
Why don't you just send some scouts out there?
There we go.
Keep an eye on them.
Is that your job?
That would be militaristic action. How would the guild see that? We know they're in connection with them.
Oh, I do want to mention.
Okay,
this,
well, hire
too.
good scouts that don't be seen.
I do want to mention this too. The young boy, the child that the guild sent to us, either hid from us or did not know uh, about that logging camp or those guys that were killed. So either he did know about this and it's guild business, or he didn't know and there actually is some type of side action happening with the guild that the representative doesn't even know about.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of options, but until we get more information, there's no way for us to know any of this.
But what we did learn is her name. So, Lord Tannen.
He's not in the room.
Well, I'm gonna get up, open the door. Lord Tannen.
Send a messenger to get him.
Yep, you're able to do that. Yeah, you get like a servant, request Lord Tannen to meet you in the council chambers. It is going to be some time before he arrives because he wasn't expecting to be needed here today. Is there anything in particular you guys want to do for like an hour or so before he arrives?
Oh wait, hold up. I'm not gonna ask him. I thought he was like in the castle. I knew he wasn't in the meeting with us, but I assumed he was still at work.
Well, he's not like a typical hourly employee that's like at a desk 8 hours a day, right? So as the treasurer, he has various duties like keeping track, accounting, that kind of thing. Doesn't all necessarily need to be done in any particular spot. And remember, he also is a minor noble, so he has some of his own like house duties he has to attend to.
Well, if he's not here, I'm not gonna ask for him. I thought here in the castle. I'm not gonna ask for him then. I'm not gonna wait an hour. I was just gonna ask for the record so we can speed it along and just. That's all I was gonna do. It was not gonna be any real drawn out sequence.
And to save us from another council meeting later, what do we do if there's no record of this person's name? It still concerns me. I know we're dismissing that they cannot overpower us with 30, but what if this is just one of 15 camps? Secondly, 15 people overran my hamlet. You were there. All of you. Not you, Dean, of course, but still. Your group only had 6. A group of 30 would have caused great harm to a group of 6. Right? I think it's important that we find out who these people are after. And we have to assume that if there's one camp, that there's probably at least another. Maybe more.
I don't think we should be making any assumptions.
Why not? We're good at it.
It's not safe to make assumptions, no. But it's also not safe to be ignorant.
Which is why we're going to look into this person, see if we can find any information about her, and if we don't, we have resources at our disposal to scout the area. Or we will, in time.
We cannot send a military group of scouts to check out a mercenary camp that is in connection with a guild. We just simply cannot do that. That will be a direct action against Miele.
A direct sending scouts into our own territory to ensure the safety of our borders is an action against Miele. We don't need
How
to
did we
tell
find
them
out
that we're.
about the mercenary camp? We found out about them because we infiltrated a guild logging camp. They're obviously in connection.
And as much as just a reminder, according to the line in the sand, it was just us approaching the bridge that seemed to incur an infraction with us impeding in guild business.
If we're going to find out anything about these people, it has to be done off the record, quietly, and hopefully well.
I say we start with the research and go from there.
For sure.
I agree. The research is important, but what concerns me is the time frame. Right? What if they strike in 2 days, 4
What
days,
what do you
tomorrow?
suggest, my lord?
That's why I have you here. Let's talk
No,
it
no,
out.
no. Go ahead, make your suggestion. I'm waiting. Which one of the
No,
camps do you want us to go and attack?
I don't want to attack anybody. I never said any of that. I'm saying if we just sit on our ass and research, something could go wrong in that time. We could do more than one thing at once.
You don't want to research. You don't want to scout. What?
Well, what resources do
Ideas
you
would be
have,
great.
Spy Master?
I don't know. How about we do some research and scouting? You're asking a spy master in training, so I'm saying that usually we try to obtain information before we take action. Why don't you guys turn into a spider and go infiltrate the camp or something?
There were
Well,
cats.
we can't. There were cats.
I wasn't.
there
Yeah, my guy
that
wasn't there.
were
So.
watching us, but that's a
Oh,
very good idea.
yeah, we should find out who has cats. That's an easy way to find these people. Who has magic cats?
Actually got me looking around the room, thinking, how do we find that out?
That sounds like some wizard stuff.
I don't have any other ideas.
I mean, I can. Can you describe what she looked like to me, or draw her face down or something?
Yeah, I'll draw her face. Hand me your parchment, please.
Wait, you
Yep.
didn't watch the VOD?
Hey, actually, Adam, I got a question in my new role here as spy master. Do I have any type of a spy network that I may know of already, or is that something I have to build?
You have a very primitive spy network at this point, which basically amounts to hearsay, word of mouth kind of stuff that gets collected and then given to you in the form of a briefing.
So, do I have a couple people that are in our confidant?
Well, whether or not you trust them is a different question. But yeah, you're a council member of the domain, so you definitely have resources that you can call on, right? Typically, how this works is you would say we're going to allot this much money towards this endeavor. So if you don't see it as like a domain action, you can do anything you want, right? But generally, everything is going to come down to an investment. So if you want to say, hey, let's hire a couple of people, or let's take a couple of people that already work and ask them to go out on this sort of subterfuge kind of mission. If it doesn't rise to the level of like the espionage action, which is a domain action, something on a more smaller scale, that's something you could do. But again, it is going to require some time and money.
Yeah, I do think as a group here, we will need to, try to hire some spies, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. What about those rat people? We should hire them.
Fully agree.
They'd be good spies.
Spies sound more appropriate to me than scouts.
I mean, we're not going to be able to infiltrate these people. Obviously, they're a unit. But, like you said, it's important we figure out what they're doing here.
You might be onto something long term there. We should place a mole in the guild.
Hmm.
No matter how long it takes.
True. Good point. Take inspiration from
Well,
that. I like that idea.
They'll notice the
good
mole,
idea.
though. They can dig, but, every once in a while, they have to come up to eat.
Sure.
Good point. We'll make it a human.
Okay.
Well, I think we should have both, right? I mean, when we first started the campaign or this area and everything, remember they did say they use these rat folks for, we're able to gather information. So there's different types of there's different type of assets you can have in a spy network.
Perhaps you can go and talk to the rat folk, Tavon. See if we could have their help. Maybe we could offer to get rid of that giant monster for them in return. They could offer their skills to us.
Come on,
Secondly,
guys.
I like the idea.
Guild the guild.
I like that idea. I think it's genius, Serena. We would have to think of somebody to use, somebody that would be able to get away with maybe just being a logger at first, work their way up.
My brother.
As long as you know, if he's found out, probably gonna do bad stuff to him.
Okay, we could just pick some random kid on the street.
Either way, they have to remember what they did to that South kid when he was trying to, I guess you could say, cause damage to that guild, to the logging camp. When he found out about it, they drowned him and that other person.
Yeah, I should.
Somebody has
That's right.
to
We'll pick
understand the
some
risk.
random street rat.
Well, the less I know about this, the better.
Either way, I think it's important for us to find out not only who that woman was and what kind of magic that was, but also what they're doing here, what their plans are, and perhaps if there's more. Sounds like a full plate, everyone.
I'm sure not every guild member is happy with the management there. I wonder if we could spot someone who is in place already. And trying to figure out in the history if we know any disgruntled guild members that we could approach.
Huh. What about riots?
Yeah, it's easier to someone's already in bed and then kind of pay for money, pay for information or something like that. That'd be worth some stuff, some effort, and remembering our last sessions and stuff.
I was thinking full. What's that movie? The Boston movie. Oh, I can't remember the name of it with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, Patriot Day? Or
Departed.
The Departed.
Departed.
Yeah, we get a
It's a great-
recruitment in place somewhere.
Yeah, we raise them from a child to be a member of the guild.
That's a long-term plan.
I
By the
know.
way, I like your ideas about the disgruntled guild member already. However, I do think maybe if we could pay Riots, he could give us information, but we could not trust it.
Do we even know where he is? I thought you asked Miele to exile him.
That doesn't mean that she did it. So I'm assuming she followed through with it because she does seem like she's very tight about her conditions. And finally, Dean, could you draft a letter back to Derek of Moriad?
Yes, need to do that. Let me grab my paper notes from a couple weeks ago.
Tell him we've got our best soldier on the case.
And then tell him that we have plans in the near future to build embassy quarters, but his emissary is free to come, and we will send one as well. I think that we agreed on that, right, everyone?
We
No, it was talk about Tegan as an emissary, and I have Blixel's mom ask if she wants to return to Cariele, Geldelia, Serena's mother, Mrs. Dawnguard, and brother to see if they're okay and return to Cariele. And then I have troop movements by us because of goblins. Oh, did we telling them there to be troop movements from us because of goblins, the threat of goblins? We want to let them know about that. And then I have at the very bottom of my notes, wife for Vin.
Yeah.
What
Remember,
about
Michael?
sister for Vin?
No. That's a way for us to be able to go and meet everyone, right? And also a chance for us to discuss. He has troops mustering on his borders to the south as well.
Right. So we're gonna I'll respond mentioning Tegan as our pick for emissary if she's willing to take it, and then if not, we'll take their suggestion. Oh wait, no.
First we have to ascertain whether the refugees actually made it to Moriad.
Right. So that's what's gonna
That's
be.
true.
So it'll be Tegan, Blixel's mom, Glaudia, Serena's mother, and brother. Right.
Yep. And then Lord Tannen said that he'll come up with a few prospects if Tegan does not work out. So we'll have that in our back pocket, and then ask him if he'll be willing to host the new region of Cariele. Tell
Okay.
him
Copy
I'm
that.
hoping to find a new wife.
Okay. For a social engagement, I guess. Right. I won't say you're
Adam
asking
just
for a
proves
wife,
something on the map.
but some social encounter.
No. You can say that. That's fine. I am looking for a wife, and it would be a great way to tie our nations together. And
Yeah.
if Michael and could not find his love here, perhaps I could find my love there.
Okay. That's very well phrased. Am I mentioning troop movements by us in the area because of goblins?
Not through note. We will mention that when we arrive.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I suppose we have our ideas of what to do. I can assist with the research, I suppose, although I'm not that great at it. Perhaps I'll go with Tavard in speaking with the rat folk. I believe someone should look into this Milena character. Maybe asking around some other people we may know, higher ups, see if anyone knows that name, but be cautious about it. See if we can find her in any visitation or logbooks. And then we want to talk about money for spies, if that's the plan.
I guess I can do the boring research if no one else wants to.
I'm all about boring research, but I just want someone to come with me in case we encounter a serial killer on the streets.
Oh,
I can do that.
yeah. Um, I'm gonna wait and make sure my armor's getting done right. Okay.
Is that okay with you, Tavard? Can I come with you to talk to the rat folk? Is that your plan?
But you're always welcome to come and talk to rat folks.
All right. Put my knuckles up to Tavard. Hopefully we don't die.
You're welcome not to die, too.
Okay, so we'll draft the letter then. That's what I'll do. I'll do my homework. Where is...
All right. Council dismissed, and I'll imaginarily slam a gavel.
Looks the leaves.
All right, so as this session of council is dismissed and you guys disperse, there is obviously still several days between now and the next council session. I know you guys had different discussions. Is it your intention to try to like break into individuals and take care of these things before the next session of council?
Yeah, I mean, unless other information comes to light to change that, obviously.
Ideally.
Yeah, hopefully we can have enough time here to come up with a plan before anything happens, but that's the game plan. We're at least putting some wheels in motion, I suppose, Adam, over the next few days, because it's like the 4th or 5th, right? And
Today is the
council's on the 20th.
6th. Yeah, today's the 6th. Your next session is on the 20th. So you've got a little less than 2 weeks.
Cool. Well, yeah, Tavarna, sounds like we're going to go down to the sewers and say hello to some rat folk.
Okay, so one thing I'll make mention of here is since you guys were gone on the day that you would have received this previously, you do get made aware that Miss West has learned a bit more information from Minerva, and she has essentially put that together in a really small snippet of text for you, and it was, it's basically delivered to the regent and kind of being held there by a guard until you're ready to receive it.
Can we say before the council session ended, we reviewed it real quick and then we'll disperse, Adam, if that's okay?
Yeah, you can do that. So, as a reminder, she has provided a snippet of information previously. So, the new snippet of information is that after a month's time, Minerva was summoned back to the Eyeless One's tower, which is in the Gorge. Minerva previously told the group it was actually in Terrain, so she got that wrong or misremembered that. It is actually in the Gorge. When the Eyeless One learned of her failure, he cast a potent curse upon her, which forced her to redouble her efforts in tracking down the White.
The plot thickens.
So just as a reminder, I'm going to try to post these. Hopefully the formatting's okay. These are the 2 bits of information that you have learned so far and the days that you learned them. And as a reminder, today is the 6th, so that was the 3rd and the 5th.
Damn, she's got like 20 more days of this too. She's good, man. We should pay this woman. We should look into what strikes me is the links that this eyeless one would go to find some simple white. What did it do to them?
Yeah, it's odd. So far, it doesn't seem to. I'm not sure I identify a threat yet.
I mean, maybe this eyeless one is so powerful that it's not that much effort for him to do this.
Alright, but even still, even if it's not much effort, I mean, why the effort, period?
Sponge
Humble,
lover.
right?
Maybe he's just really, really petty. Like, can't let it go.
Probably worked for him in the past.
Well, what is a white? Is it like that specter shadow thing we fought in that basement at one time?
It's like a soldier.
Elaborate.
And the zombies have like flesh on their bones and stuff like that. It's like that, so it doesn't move too slow. I read about that.
Does this white have the ability to think for itself?
That I don't know.
Saline, are they independent creatures? Do you know?
Whether or not I know, we were told that it abandoned his service, so I would assume there's some level of autonomy there. But sure, let me click on my blind check button so that we can do another lore dump just for you.
Yes, indeed. Whites typically are independent and free-willed, though it's not unheard of for more powerful undead creatures to force them into their service through a variety of means.
So we just dipped. The gorge is far, also. It's on the opposite side of the 5 peaks.
I mean, the good thing is Minerva knows now that Serena isn't this white, and Buxel stares deadpan at Serena. Right?
But she is under the effects of a curse to destroy any undead she comes across, so. I'm sorry, differently living. What's the politically correct term for this?
That's right.
Otherwise
She's so
soul.
dangerous.
What are you gonna do?
Is there a way to remove the curse from her?
There is a spell called Remove Curse, so yes. But I wonder how powerful the eyeless one is if he were to find out that someone cast a spell to undo his magic. He would probably not be too pleased.
Not someone, the lord of these lands, who he should respect.
In my opinion, someone named the Eyeless One's not going to respect any king or anything like that.
Well,
They
is it
probably don't
possible
see
for
eye
him
to
to
eye.
even learn that? I mean, just because someone dispels something, it's not possible for the person to know who dispelled it, right?
I am uncomfortable making definitive claims about that. There are many strange and powerful magics in this world.
Wait, can you cast Remove Curse?
No. Unless
Oh.
you find me a spell scroll.
Well, why don't we see if one of these, if there are any high priests in the town that can do something like that? Like your new religious friends.
Perhaps I could speak to them, yes. But I think it would be a good idea, right, to remove this curse from her? Free her from this burden? She's being forced to do something against her will.
If it means Serena's safer, I'm all for it.
She did attack you, Serena, so it's really up to you. I have no problem executing her for attacking a council member, but that would
I
be
don't
kind of
think
rough in the first month.
I think we should just let Esme keep doing her thing and see what comes up next. I don't think we have to make any decisions right this minute.
Fine with me. But now that we know it's a curse, at least we know that we could use it, remove it, and see if we can make an ally from this Minerva from it. Use her as a mole for the eyeless one.
Yeah, I think we should find out how much remove curse is, just in case, just in case.
Fair point.
Well, it has
Alright.
no material components, but the magical energy, aside from the magical energy to expend, so they would likely ask for something in recompense. Why, Tavern, are you curious about something?
We
Are you
we
curious
need to
about having
plan
curses
ahead
removed?
just in case.
No ulterior motives yourself?
I don't know what you're talking about. Just saying.
Understood.
All right.
right.
I'll see you guys later. Looks the leaves again.
All right, so as this council session officially now wraps up and you guys go on your own ways, so we've got a couple of independent kind of things going here. We will tackle those as we can. What I would ask is that just type into chat the sort of individual thing you're following up on. I know Tavard and Vin, for example, said going to the Rat Folk and trying to make connection with them. Just go ahead and type into chat what it is that you want to do as you're sort of like either research or look up, whatever it is that you're trying to do before we advance more time before the next session of council. And in the meantime, we are halfway through, so we'll go ahead and take our break here, and we will pick up on the other side. So everybody back in 15. Alrighty, we are on the second half of our session here, and we will resolve some of these outstanding items. Okay, so Blixel, you want to try to speed up the crafting of your armor. Now remind me, I believe, was it a breastplate of the Nihiladium that you were having the Elven Armorsmith make for you?
Yes.
Okay, so typically without any assistance, that would require 8 weeks for her for crafting. If you're willing to spend an extra 100 gold, she can get other highly competent armorsmiths, which she says that with a bit of disdain because she doesn't seem to think anybody's as good as her, but good enough at least that they can assist under her supervision, and she can get it down to 2 weeks. So essentially it would be ready for you by the next session of council if you're willing to spend that 100 gold.
Yep.
Okay.
He lays it down with a smile.
All right, she takes it happily from you, and she'll make those arrangements. So again, today is the 6th of Faniel, so once you get to the 20th, which is your next session of council, that breastplate of Nihiladium will be complete. Okay, and then Celine, so you're trying to find mention. As a reminder, this is also what you were doing your downtime, so this won't rise to the level of like a downtime research, right? Because that's spending like a full month on this. So give me a blind check, Celine. So actually with that check, no, you don't find any mentions of this in any kind of records that you have access to. I'm assuming you're basically reading books. You're looking for any kind of like ledgers or anything like that around the castle. With the transition and leadership, things were very much in disarray. You're not even sure how complete of records there are. I would say, based on a little bit that you've done, you're quite confident that they're not very complete. Let's see, moving on to Ratfolk. So Vin and Tavard go to visit the Ratfolk. So again, just trying to do this as a high-level summary so this doesn't get into, a really in-depth RP that's just for 2-player characters. Is it safe to assume you're going to talk to them to see if they're willing to see, if they know anything that they want to share with you, and then you're trying to engage them in like sending rumors and news that they pick up your way?
I think that's the plan, right? Tavard basically get these guys to be able to feed us information that they find out. And, I don't know if they need something in return, but perhaps we could offer up the that big ass carrion crawler.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Find out how we can mutually live in this city together and have a win-win scenario.
Okay, so the first thing I will share is that you are able to connect with them, but when you enter the sewers in the same spot you did before, you don't see them there. They're not in that area. You do a little bit of just kind of looking around, but you don't find them in that immediate vicinity. You don't want to go too far into this just being a twosome, right? So you back out and then you start looking at other areas, like real brief entrances to the sewers. Eventually you are able to make contact with the rat folk. They are able to tell you that they had to abandon that area of the sewers because the enormous carrion crawler's eggs hatched. And while it had several offspring, it seemingly either the offspring themselves or the mother killed some of them, but enough of them survived and made like their own little lairs in that same area that it was too dangerous for the rat folk to remain there. So they have essentially relocated to another area of the sewers and kind of like abandoned that area to the carrion crawlers. So after explaining that to you, you then ask them if they'd be willing to share information. I'll allow one of you guys to give me a blind check here to essentially persuade them to like establish this kind of a relationship.
Well, Vin has expertise in persuasion, Tavard. So
I have I've heard of persuasion before. I have. It's a
All right,
word.
I'll give the block check. Is he assisting me?
I'm assuming based on his description there that he's not proficient. So even if he
I'm
is, not
assisting him by not assisting him.
right. Okay.
Well, if
So
that's the case, Adam, I'll put a hero point on it
okay,
since
yeah,
it's just
sure.
me. But it's an important negotiation, so I'll throw one on there.
All right. Well, you definitely succeed. So yes, you are essentially what they say is that they are able to gather tidbits of information here and there based on what they hear. They only go to the surface rarely, and they only do it like certain members of the Ratfolk clan go up to do like some trading, buying supplies and things that they can't really get in the sewers, but they still need. The surface folk mainly don't like interacting with rat folk, but they've been able to make a connection with some humans that are at least friendly enough that they're able to, again, buy some basic items, that kind of thing. They do mention that when they try to get metal items, so like steel or iron items, they feel like the prices they're getting are exorbitant, and when they tell you how much they're paying, you realize that the humans on the surface are basically charging them about 5 times the street value of iron. So, you pretty much get the impression that the humans that they're currently working with for their iron supply is, basically taking advantage of them. So they say that if you're willing to try to help them with that or just supply iron to them directly, they'll be happy to send along what they can. They suggest, again, that they're not going to send a rat folk clan member to the castle or anything like that. But if you want to come down, send somebody so that they know who you're sending, they will be happy to provide whatever information they can on an infrequent basis.
Yeah, I'll let them know that I'll remind them of the different members of the council and that one of us will come in every now and then to pick up information and check on them, and that we will definitely look into that iron being charged at 5 times the price. So,
And are we able to get an idea of exact items they're looking for, or just iron itself? That way, there maybe we can, go to a junkyard and get stuff too.
It seems to be partially scrap material. You get the impression that they're kind of like using scrap to make other odds and ends. You don't imagine that it would be of the highest quality, but it is also occasionally like weapons. For example, some daggers, some hand axes. They also buy some like axes for chopping wood, which seems kind of odd being that they live in the sewers. But yeah, they do indeed indicate that. So mostly scrap iron, but occasional items as well. Okay, so scrolling back up and looking at my list, so we've taken care of Blixel, Saline, Vin, and Taver. Dean was writing a letter during this time. Serena, was there anything specific that you were trying to do on your own during this time?
Nope, just bodyguarding for Celine.
Okay, fair enough. So you were protecting Saline during that time, which she requested, so excellent. Okay, so with what you guys have learned, is there anything else critical you're wanting to do before we advance some days and I get to some of the other events that occur before the next session of council?
Just to make sure I mailed the letter, however you want to.
Yep. Yeah, we can assume if you're saying you sent it now, we can assume that you have indeed sent that. I see that you have posted it in our Discord channel, so perfect. Okay, if nothing else, then I'm going to bring us back to the council chambers. And this is where, not that you guys are technically here right now, but I think this is just easiest to kind of go through the events that are occurring. Okay, so that was the 6th of Faniel. On the 7th, not much of note happens. However, on the 8th, Cariele is hit by a severe thunderstorm with hail, and the temperatures drop below freezing. Some of the crops actually are even endangered by this. So very, not like supernatural or anything like that, but very harsh weather for this time of year. So very much an outstanding kind of weather event. You're not being asked to take any immediate action, but you are hearing, rumors, or you're hearing kind of a vibe check that people are concerned and worried for, due to this bad weather. I'm going to kind of go moving through this stuff, right? If you guys want to interrupt at any point because you think you need to immediately take action, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving forward. The next day, so the 9th of Faniel, Miss West has learned a bit more from Minerva. Minerva was actually compelled to travel to her sect and terrain, and once she was there, she slaughtered all of the members, so about a half dozen acolytes, to Cariele. Once she was completed with that task, she continued looking for the white. She ran into a few minor undead on her journey and destroyed them, hoping to shake off the magic that forced her to continue, but of course she did not. Posting that in chat also for your reference. Okay, by the 10th of Faniel, Lord Tannen asks, that you guys have your next session of council on the 20th. He would like to review the petitioner list with you, and he asks what day would be best for you all to do that.
That's Tuesday, because when Monday comes around, by the weekend, I don't know what I'm doing on Monday.
So today's currently the 10th. In this world, the Tuesday would be tomorrow, the 11th, if that's a serious request.
Sure. Tomorrow's as good as any.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
All right, excellent. So we are now advancing to the 11th of Faniel, and you guys are truly in the council chambers at this point. Lord Tannen is amongst you as you guys are all seated at the table, and he has a bit of a smile for all of you, and you notice he kind of looks at you, Vin, for a bit, and his eyes kind of linger there momentarily. Almost you get the impression like he's going to say something, but then kind of like collects himself and says, "All right, counselors, my lord, are you prepared to review the petitioner list?"
Hang on. What was that eye contact right there? What? If you have something to say, Lord Tannen, feel free to speak at all times.
You notice he kind of smiles slightly and then kind of like catches himself. My lord, perhaps it would be best if once we are done reviewing the petitioner list, you and I could stay here and speak privately just for a moment. I won't take up too much of your time. Just a personal matter I'd like to ask you about.
Sure, that's fine.
Excellent. Well, then, without any further ado, so far we have collected a total of 7 public petitioners and 5 private meeting requests. Of course, the first private meeting request was a previous one from one Mr. Parnell Sidian, who I am given to understand you have already met with, so I presume we won't need to hold that meeting.
Aye, that's correct. We handled what we needed to at that meeting.
He nods, jotting down on this piece of parchment. Okay, then let us go through the public petitioners first. The first petitioner is one Mr. Claudin Heights. He is a banker here in Cariele, and he has come offering to loan your regency some gold bars if you should have need for them. He says he comes bearing very reasonable rates of return.
Well, did he mention the rates of return in that
I asked
preliminary meeting?
specifically this question of him, my lord, but he said he would prefer to speak with you as a group and kind of go over those in detail. He did not seem to want to share the exact rates, but he did use the word fair multiple times.
May I ask a question? What is our national debt at the moment?
Well, in fact, there isn't one. We have a surplus. If we look at our treasury, I believe at last count, and he starts looking through his parchment, I believe we were sitting at 15.75 gold bars.
Oh, okay. Whew.
How much are we going to get coming in?
It is always difficult to gauge that, but from what I understand from discussing with you all, you did secure that blessing from the NRC, so I suspect our receipts will be higher next season than they were this season, but anything is possible, of course.
Well, how much was last season?
Last season, I would have to check my records, but I believe it was somewhere after everything was paid off, somewhere in the realm of 6 or 8 gold bars.
And based off of the report that the general received about goblins, let's say a potential war broke out with these goblins, Tannen, not to spur anything up or anything, but how much does something like that cost?
Oh, wars can be very, very expensive, my lord. It really depends how aggressive your response would be. If you are thinking war is going to occur, you would want to try to get those troops mustered right away, which of course means you'd have to pay for them right away. But then if the war doesn't occur, then you're paying for them every season therefore after, unless you disband them, which of course is always a possibility, but then you've wasted the hire or muster cost. So hard to say. What are you thinking as far as a response, or what is the likelihood that this war shall actually break out?
Well, we'll know more once that scout regiment we mustered will do their jobs, hopefully. But as of now, we don't see any immediate threats, no. But
I'll
still,
do
we
it.
should not.
I'll duel the king of the goblins for you.
We
We'll
should
put.
wait to make decisions like that until we know more, I think.
Well, look, we've got 26 ideas for plans, right? Plan A through Z, so we'll put that in there, Blix, so don't worry.
Yeah, I could take a goblin king.
However, why would he ask to speak of this publicly?
Well, he is a well-known banker, and I believe he's hoping to, my guess would be, he didn't say this outright, but sort of raise his stature and show a display of public affiliation or devotion to your rule by letting you know that he's happy to offer you this money, meaning he's showing that he has faith in your rule and that you will, of course, be able to pay him back, which, well, if you couldn't, he doesn't have a whole lot of recourse other than trying to perhaps hire mercenaries and things to come after you, but that's really a stretch at that point.
The rogue in Vin's eyes kind of light up for a second, but then they flash away, and he goes, "Well, it does not sound like anything too fearful for the public to hear, so I don't mind having that. Perhaps the council will speak about securing a loan. We do have much to do."
I always say you can never have too much money. It won't hurt to hear him out, hear what he has to offer.
Is there any additional details you would like me to try to gather from Mr. Heights before we meet with him on the next session of council?
If he's working for anybody else, or if he's on his own.
Who he
And
works for? Yes, okay.
I would also like to let him know that any discussion of exact amount will not be done publicly, but privately. However, if we do decide to secure it, we will be sure that others hear that we will and have. But the exact amount shall be not publicly known.
I will be certain to convey this message to him, my lord. Are there any other notes or questions on this petitioner before we move to the next? No? Okay. The next petitioner is one Miss Evelyn Redstream. She lists her occupation here as an academic. She was made aware that you had received some nihiladium from the venture that you sponsored and funded, and she is looking to obtain some for research purposes. She likely will be presenting her plan to you. Of course, she's not looking to purchase this from you. She is hoping that you would be willing to give it to her for research purposes, and perhaps what she learns would be then shared with you all.
Would she be able to give it back afterwards?
It is possible. I don't know exactly the mechanisms of her research. It doesn't say anything like this item would be destroyed, so it's possible, but I would suggest asking that question yourself, or I can, of course, ask it for you ahead of time.
Or did she mention how much she needed? Because after Blixel's breastplate, we're down to half of the supply we have.
She did indeed, and he tells you a weight amount which equates to 2 points worth. So if you remember, you guys had 16 points. You gave 8 to Gizilex. You guys took 8. I believe Blixel spent 2 for his medium armor. She's asking for 2 points worth.
Okay, so we got 6 left.
It'll be 4 after we give it to her.
I'm fine with giving it to her. I mean, unless
Well,
anyone.
Let's meet her first. I think that would be appropriate. It seems like a pretty special gift to someone we haven't even met.
That's fair. But if we like her, I don't have a problem with giving it.
I agree. We should expand our research and development department and call it Nihiladium X.
Well, let's also think if there's more to be found in Punal, we know who can find it. They've proven themselves, Gizilex. I'm sure they wouldn't mind being paid to find more. On top of that, it would give us some kind of income to bring in, which is also important.
Listen, if the gods wanted us to have it, we would already have it. Like, look, we had the raw stuff, we made it into armor. That's the way it should be, not all this weird sciencey stuff.
But didn't we only obtain it? Nah, never mind.
Whatever. I got my armor, so you do whatever you want. I got more than my fair share out of this, so I'm happy to do whatever the group decides. Whenever we
I don't have a problem giving her this, but I am curious to know if we will be able to obtain it back or not. It's not a deal breaker if not, I don't think.
Well,
What did you say her name was again?
That is Miss Evelyn Redstream.
I would very much look forward to meeting Miss Redstream and exploring her mind a bit and wondering what the possibilities are. And yes, I agree that further investment into R&D is really important.
Perhaps we could help fund further research and development for her with other things if she seems like a good fit. I look forward to meeting her.
It's probably a vampire, though. Name like that.
I don't know how much nominative determinism goes on in Cariele.
Nominative determinism. Wow.
You sneeze. Do you need a hanky? That was a sneeze, right?
I'll explain it later.
Are there any particular questions you would like me to ask Miss Redstream before we move on?
We got to make sure if she's okay with, if she figures something out, she doesn't bring it to somebody else. Only we get it. Me and her.
That sounds like something you should tell her when you meet her. Otherwise, perhaps even converting this into a private meeting request if you're concerned about that. But of course, if I was to tell her that, that would presuppose that you've already agreed to give it to her.
No. Private meeting, please. I'm sorry, Lord, if I'm speaking over you, but I as a chief counselor, recommend a private meeting with this artificer of sorts.
I have no problem with that. If we're looking into things of a secretive nature that maybe have effects that could affect the realm, both positively or negatively, if the information was leaked, being the leaker of the information would be important.
Well, I mean, did she say what exactly she's trying to find out? Is this a matter of national security or state secrets or anything?
She was quite brief. She simply said she wanted some for research purposes. She didn't go into great detail, I'm afraid.
Then yes, we should meet with her privately to find out what exactly she wants to do with it. I don't know. If she's like making pipe bombs or something, we maybe don't want to authorize that.
Or maybe we did.
Or we're going to the moon.
Okay, it sounds like we have agreement to convert this to a private meeting request. I will let Miss Redstream know. Are we ready to move on?
Oh, yeah. They're just getting good.
Excellent, excellent. The next petitioner is one Milena Grimm. She is a mercenary captain, and she says she's hoping to get her unit of mercenary cavalry hired.
Interesting.
What's she look like?
Oh, she has quite a striking presence, counselor. Red hair, very fair of the face.
I should have
Was
knowing looked
she
at Ian.
was she Ryuven by chance?
I believe she was, my lord.
What was she wearing by chance, Lieutenant?
You see, he kind of cocks his eyes. He looks at you like, my lord?
He was only
Not
looking
like
at her
that.
red hair.
Did she have any ornaments on her head? Any
She
crowned
wore a
antlers?
circlet. No such thing. She was wearing a jeweled circlet when I met her.
You're gonna want to move this one to be a private meeting as well.
How much does she charge?
Well, I did do a little bit of research here. A typical unit of mercenary cavalry has a muster cost of 6 gold bars, but she did indicate she was willing to work at a reduced rate.
Interesting.
I would hope so.
Well, I am not a war man at all, counselors and my lord, but I am given to understand that mercenary cavalry are one of the most potent units on the battlefield, almost or sometimes even equally as good as a fully armed unit of knights.
Just by curious guesstimation, Lieutenant, would it be around like 30 or 40 members?
In her unit?
Yes.
Well, a typical unit of soldiers is about 200 members, my lord.
Okay. So a mercenary unit would be about the same size?
Yes.
Interesting.
Has she ever worked for anybody else in the area? We got a reference?
I did not ask this question. To be honest, I didn't think you were going to be interested in this one, as we are not currently at war. But based on what you said earlier about these goblins, I can certainly inquire this.
All right. I'd like that. I want to check them out just to make sure. 6 gold is pretty expensive.
Excellent. So we are in agreement to convert this to a private meeting request?
Very much so.
Okay, I shall do so. Okay, if we're ready to move on to the next is one Mr. Anson Keenseeker. He is a tailor by trade. Unfortunately, Mr. Keenseeker's daughter was murdered here in Carlinian. The guards have told him they are looking into it, according to him, but he hasn't gotten any satisfactory answers, and he's coming to demand answers from the council.
Wonder if this is the father of one of those girls who were killed by that serial killer.
We should probably figure that out. Do we have somebody on that right now?
I think Serena was
Well-
working on a PowerPoint reorganization thing, and maybe the communications are better aligned.
But we did tell Sergeant Morningfall to get on it, so perhaps he's already made some movement towards it. We could at least check in with him.
I can follow up with him.
It's unfortunate for Mr. Kingseeker that his daughter was killed here. But speaking to him and allowing him to be heard, his frustrations, I think it's important. He should know that we care and we are going to do something about it. As should anyone know that in this city, going around killing people shall not go unpunished.
Do we know which guard's jurisdiction we're investigating this? Is it the same group or a different one?
Mr. Keenseeker is a resident of the lower area in the city, a working class neighborhood, of course. I believe that does fall under the jurisdiction of Sergeant Morningfall.
Okay.
Maybe we should have him here or talk to him prior to the meeting or something, so then that way we don't just stumble and give him fake platitudes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to follow up before the petitioner comes.
I agree.
Consider it done.
We will meet with them, though.
Excellent. I will note here that General Dawnstar is meeting with Sergeant Morningfall before this event. Other than that, is there any additional questions or notes that I should take about Mr. Keenseeker? Okay, hearing nothing, then let us move on.
Wait.
Yes, my lord.
Sorry, Lord Tannen. I was eating these figs over here. I got distracted. I'm sorry. I wanted to say something. Could you maybe find Mr. Kingseeker's address for me before this public meeting?
Yes, that would be no problem, my lord.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our next petitioner. It is a Mr. Doran Laughingsteel. He is formerly a hunter. Let's see. He suffered a severe injury, which causes him to need to use a crutch just to move about. This, of course, massively impacted his lifestyle, and I'm given to understand he's been begging in the streets of Carolinian over the last month or so. He visited the NRC, and they said that they could indeed heal him, but they asked for 100 gold pieces, which he cannot afford. He's hoping that either you could aid in this endeavor or perhaps speak to the church on his behalf.
Well, as much as I think it's in our power to help him, obviously, if the word got out that we would just pay everyone who had ailments, this list of petitioners will grow ever long.
I don't know why, but somehow, if it's okay, I'd like to speak to him privately myself. If that's okay with you, of course.
Why are you so curious as to have your own encounter with this man?
Well, because Vin just said he wasn't interested, and I'd like to, I got a network that I may need to figure out. I would just like to meet the man. Maybe we've got ourselves a scout leader.
What was his employment before he got shot to the knee with an arrow?
He was a hunter, counselor. He is a Reuven man, and they are typically famed for being great hunters. I believe this reputation was also true for Mr. Laughingsteel, but of course, after his injury, he's no longer able to do so.
So he was not in the service of Cariele in any way, just a regional hunter.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, yeah, then sure. If that is your wish for Philanthropy Tavern, then I agree.
Nothing may come of it. I don't know, but you never know, right? I mean, I gotta look out for some options now.
Yes, and if that's the case, then the least amount of eyes on him as possible would be best. So maybe completely remove him from the record. Tannen, erase. Can you do that here?
Yes, of course, my lord. I will convert him to a private meeting with a note here that Councilor Tavern will be meeting with him individually. Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, next up is a Mrs. Jade Carthright. She is an innkeeper here in Carolinian. Let's see. She says she served a batch of ale sometime recently, 2 nights prior to today, and several patrons got really sick. She says she bought the ale from a local merchant named Davies, and she can't find him anymore, and her patrons are angry and loitering around her establishment, telling everyone not to go inside. I believe she is hoping that you could help her get to the bottom of this and restore her good reputation as an innkeeper.
Not only her good reputation as an innkeeper, but our reputation for having good ale in this town.
I don't feel that's the government's job to intervene into every little business malfunction that happens. It's probably will just sort itself out.
Oh, Dean, it's the ale.
Did she get rid of it?
She does not say. I presume she would not serve it any longer. Would you like me to ask this question of her counselor?
Yeah. If she didn't get rid of it, have her send it along to us ahead of time.
Why?
Yes.
So we can
Nothing's
see
worse
what.
than bad ale.
Yeah, but we got a scientist coming. Maybe the scientist can use her science powers to look at it. And we'll see.
See what?
What's wrong with it? Anyways, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Okay, I will leave her on the ledger here as a public petitioner, and I will send this note to her that if she kept the ale, to send it ahead to the castle. Moving on, the next petitioner. Oh, another Reuven. A Miss Catherine Luna Dream. Interesting last name there. She is actually a bounty hunter. Interesting. She just successfully completed her last bounty in Torian's Watch in Moriad, and she's come to Cariele to see if her services are needed.
Is she hot?
I don't think that's what he means by services.
That's not what I meant either, but still. Bounty
She,
hunter, you say?
yes, indeed.
Did she happen to mention who her last bounty was for?
She did not. I could ask this question of her if you like.
Yes.
Seems
I mean,
we
if
need to sometimes collect some people with various skills. Even if you don't have any work for her now, maybe just meet her in case we have need of her services later.
it's always a good plan, yes. I don't think rejecting the meeting is at all a bad or on the table, but still curious about maybe who she worked for before, who was
I'm a
out
little,
there issuing bounties also.
I am a little worried about the optics of the government openly hiring a bounty hunter for everyone to see.
I agree, and I don't know how much information she'd be willing to give in a public setting.
That's how you get things done, though.
Well, she requested the meeting publicly, I'm assuming, so people outside of just the council would know of her services. Not everyone has to agree on bounties from a government perspective.
But you don't think it would make people nervous to see the ruling class entertaining the notion of hiring a hitwoman?
Oh, no. Bounty hunters. They just bring them to justice.
Well, we're not entertaining the idea of hiring her because we have no one to seek death for. But like Tavard said, the more contacts we get, the better. in the future we may need to have somebody,
I've got a few people already, so if you need a list, I got one.
That's worrying.
Well, if she'll supply you with that, Lord Tannen, I think that's fine. If she'll let you know her previous bounty. We don't need to know price or anything, but who it was for.
Okay, I will ask her that question, my lord. I will see if she will divulge that information, but we are keeping her as a public petitioner?
I think it's equally important for people to see us turn her down, as it is for her to be known that she can publicly address her services.
Excellent. Well, that concludes all of our public petitioners. Are we ready to move on to the private meeting requests? Okay,
Yep.
Excellent. Hearing no complaints. We've already discussed Mr. Parniel Sidian, so I will skip by him. The next private meeting petitioner is a Mr. Francis Stonesworn. He is a butcher here in Cerilia. He indicates that there have been 2 attempts on his life so far, both from long range, and he only survived through luck. He is requesting that he is protected and his assailants are discovered and brought to justice.
Long range as in arrows or something?
Or
Yes, I believe it was arrows he made mention of.
Interesting. Maybe a job for a bounty hunter. I don't know.
Sounds like a job for the city guard.
Yeah, where are they? I mean, we've got people being robbed and killed and attempted murder.
Probably preventing the other 99 attempted murders.
Yeah.
Lord Tannen's kind of nodding here. In a city of this size, of course, you'll never have 0 crime, but they do what they can.
We'll make sure they're all working at full capacity.
This Mr. Francis, is he also down in the lower class area?
He is indeed, yes.
I wonder if they are shorting patrols in the area for any reason. But if there were more guards just patrolling the area more often than not, the crime would likely go down, no?
Maybe, but what are we going to tell this guy? Should we have him still meet with us? I feel like this isn't our job.
Yes, but
Isn't it
how
my
would
job?
rejecting his meeting look? I mean,
It doesn't look like anything. It's a private meeting. People don't know about it yet. But, I mean, are we going to personally take care of this, or are we going to have the guards take care of it?
The guards. This is beneath us. Maybe Serena can supervise, but we can hear his grievances, and he'll be pleased as we answer appropriately with putting the full force of the city watch to keep the safety of Carelians at the utmost importance of the council, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Serena's already meeting with Sergeant Morningfall, so she can talk to him about patrols in the lower area, but I think rejecting his meeting outright would be rude.
What about having him turn to public?
Yes, it does sound weird that he
He's
requested this privately.
he's afraid he's going to be assassinated.
Yeah, he may have details he wants to share privately as well.
And we don't want the crowds to know that there are, people out for contracts on somebody.
We don't want him to miss and hit one of us.
And he cuts meat for a living.
He butchered the wrong cow.
Sounds like
Definitely more to the story.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about that.
He's sleeping with the wrong woman.
Well, I mean, two attempts is serious, right? I mean, one attempt is like, it missed, maybe somebody got cold feet, but 2 attempts is an obvious. I mean, he's trying to kill him, whoever is slighted. Look, I've only slept with one married woman, and her husband was fat and slow, so that can't always be the case.
This is another case of jumping to conclusions, I think. Let's talk to him and find out more details about what happened.
All
I
right.
agree.
I'll bring popcorn.
All right, then, if we shall move to the next private meeting request, it is a Mr. Gregory Cloudfang. He is a porter by trade. He says his friend, who is a pickpocket, stole a ring from a traveler in the city. The friend then dropped the ring off to him and asked him to hold on to it for a bit. The friend, however, never returned, and it's been 6 weeks. I don't know why he wishes to speak with you. This seems like a known criminal simply. Well, not he is a criminal, but his friend's clearly a criminal. He's in possession of stolen property. I'm afraid I don't have more
Yeah, I'm gonna
details.
have to confiscate that evidence.
Well,
So tell him to bring it to hand it over.
I want to know who his friend is because we are looking for an Eldarin, I think is his name, who stole the breastplate and several other items from a baron in Moriad.
Actually, that information is listed here. His friend was named Ella Ashglade, and she was a half-elf pickpocket, according to Mr. Cloudfang.
Not the job title I would personally go with, but I mean, it is very curious that he's bringing this to the government's attention.
what kind of ring is it, I suppose?
He did not say.
Pickpocket
So,
disappears for that long. They're probably either dead or they're out of town.
they could have been captured and charged with a different crime also. They could be in jail currently.
We
It's
need to
interesting.
assure this man that he's doing the right thing to encourage people to come forward and hand over stolen property in the future.
So,
Yeah, strongly encourage.
so in our earlier conversations, we talked about recruitment in place or finding someone that we could instill and trust into maybe the guilds, right? And get information. We should keep that in mind as we're meeting these folks, particularly this guy who seems to be friends with some unsavory characters, but yet still wants to do something honest. I'm curious and see why he wants to give to the government a stolen property.
But why are you assuming he wants to give it to us? We're just saying he's going to give it to us.
I think he wants to ensure
Probably
his
wants to
friend's
sell it to us.
safety.
He wants to what?
I would assume he wants to sell it to us.
Yeah, the government. Yeah, even better. He might. This might be a type of character we need. I don't know. What did you say, Saline?
Lord
I
Tannen
was
made a interesting look when you mentioned the infiltrating the guild plan.
Oh,
I was just saying, if I had to guess at this man's motivation, he just wants to ensure his friend's safety. I don't know if he's thought so far ahead about his specific behavior is altruistic or supportive of anything else other than that.
right.
We can certainly talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah, ensuring one's safety is very important, right, Tannen?
Lord Tannen sort of looks over towards you, Blixel, and kind of studies you for a moment. Yes, security is indeed important.
Either way, tell him to bring the ring, for sure. And does he know? Did he mention who the ring was stolen from? Is that perhaps why he's trying to meet with us? Is it somebody of menacing power or something?
He did not say, but when I spoke with him, he did seem to be quite a nervous chap.
He does have contraband on him, so that tracks.
And if you steal from the wrong person, well, that can cause even more issues. But okay, Tannen, he's already meeting with us privately, so He won't be able to do anything, not with all of us there.
Okay, I have documented this, my lord, and we shall move on to the next then. The next is a Mr. Justice Commonbrook. He is a locksmith here in Carolinium. He notes that a customer arrived at his shop about 7 days ago and asked if he made locks for Castle Cariele. He asked if there would be any kind of master key that unlocks all of the locks in the castle.
Nah, we don't want to meet with him.
Is there?
Is there?
Not that I am aware of.
We're gonna
Wait,
need a full description from this man.
I'm confused. The locksmith is asking that question of us, or the customer was asking this of the locksmith?
The customer asked this of the locksmith.
Yeah, we need a full baseball card on this guy.
We have bounty hunters find this guy.
This is a conversation for the city watch. I mean, a full investigation is gonna have to be launched into this.
Why does he want to meet with us? Is he just letting us know that there's someone out there to trying to infiltrate the castle, or what's the purpose of this private meeting?
The impression I got is that it has been 7 days since this happened, and originally he didn't think much of it, but then after a couple of days went by, he started thinking, well, if something suddenly is stolen from the castle or some criminal activity occurs in the castle, then perhaps the trail would lead back to him and he would be in some kind of trouble. So he eventually decided to be public with this information or bring it to you to make sure that his hands were clean.
When's the
Well,
last time
security
did we
needs to
check
be
the
upgraded.
treasury?
Did he sell him a key?
He did not.
Well, I
no.
have the treasury. I have the treasury key.
Serena
Yeah,
stands up
Blixel.
when she says that. She stands up. Did you sell her the key?
Well, look, maybe as Seneschal Blixel, you could talk to this locksmith earlier than the 20th about changing the locks that we already have. Go ahead and initiate it now.
All right, I'll talk to him. I'm also going to
Get a
check the
fair
treasury.
Make sure there's actually 15 gold bars in there.
Yeah,
I mean, I have the key, like it's on Vin's neck.
yeah, but
If there's a master key,
yeah,
there's another key.
And not that this necessarily is impactful here, but my presumption was that Lord Tannen had the key because, again, he's the treasurer, so he would have to go into the treasury pretty frequently for accounting and such.
Maybe Lord Tannen is the culprit.
when's the last time
Look.
you checked it, Tannen?
On my sheet, I've got treasury key, and it's before note from Steel. So I've had that thing in my inventory for a long time.
That's probably the key that opened the magical door where the hero stones were right next to the treasury.
No, because right below treasury key is stone key, and that one says 5 pounds. I've got 2 keys, and the treasury key I had before the stone key. So Tannen does not have the key. I do.
I will presume that there are 2 keys then, because otherwise Tannen wouldn't be able to do his job.
Did you borrow the key from him? Is that what happened? Because we went down to the basement to look for things?
That could have happened, yes.
Maybe, but
I feel like he would have definitely asked for it back in that case.
well, I didn't know that he needed the treasury key like that anyways. So my assumption was I just kept it on me. But I'll delete it if he's got it. That's fine. But
And I'm okay if there's 2 copies of it. You know, that's certainly possible. But yeah, Lord Tannen would certainly have to have a key.
all right. Yeah, I keep up with my key maintenance.
You get it back on a short rest, I think.
All right, so
That's
Lord,
fine, Adam. We'll just go with the. I'll make treasury key again, and we'll just go with the idea that there's 2, and
Okay.
Vin will have 1 too.
all right,
I
fair
keep
enough.
up with my key as well.
Terrible pun. Okay, yeah, so I've got a note here that Blixel will speak to the locksmith ahead of council. Okay, so Lord Tannen looks and he says, oh, and there is only one other private meeting request that we have not spoken with yet. This one was quite odd, and if you thought the other ones were odd, this one will really take the cake. It is a Mrs. Helena Glorybluff. She calls herself an agent. She says she wants to connect you with some very great and very famous individual who would be able to aid you, but she didn't say how or who this person was.
Excellent. Put her on the books.
Okay.
I mean, if that's all the information she gave you, what do we say?
We say we need cookies and wine when we talk to her. I don't know, and popcorn, like Blixel said earlier.
What did she look like?
She is an older woman, perhaps in her late 40s or early 50s, dark of hair, average height.
Well, I don't think we should meet with her until we find out what she's an agent of.
I could certainly ask this question of her, but I will just say from speaking with her, I got the impression that either her or her client, the one that she represents, she thinks very, very highly of herself, and she's thinking that you will think very highly of her or her client once she reveals this to you.
Is there any harm in meeting with her? What are you afraid of?
Well, these entertainment people, can't trust them. All right. Just found it a little weird. Are there any celebrities in town that we don't know about?
None that I am aware of, Counselor. Celebrity is somewhat rare in these parts. This is, of course, the northernmost area of the old Enmurian Empire, forsaking Thosone, of course. This is often considered the frontier, and most people of fame remain in the south, particularly in the city of Anweir or along the southern coast. Getting somebody who is famous all the way up here is very rare.
Indeed, it should be homegrown, right? But yeah, go ahead, meet with them. Sure.
All right, excellent, counselors, my lord. We have reviewed all of the public petitioners and private meeting requests. Are there any other notes or anything that you would like to discuss before we conclude today's meeting?
Perhaps, but I guess this is for the rest of you guys as well. But when Tavad and I went to visit the rat folk the other day, they agreed that they'd be willing to help us. But their issue is that currently, when they come up to the surface to trade, they're getting iron at 5 times the normal price. They either want us to supply them with iron better or help them get it at a cheaper rate. And then one more thing. That giant carrion crawler apparently had babies, lots of them, and it forced the rat folk to move. So there are now multiple carrion crawlers that have set up multiple layers in our sewers.
Gross.
Like call for exterminators? Kind of thing.
Let's put the poison ale down there.
I do know
Brilliant.
somebody that can cast a massive fiery explosion. 2 people, actually. Just saying.
I mean, that big one almost killed all of us. There's a million little babies running around. Let's just light a match.
Can't let them continue to just grow and fester in our sewers. Sounds like they were fighting for territory also. That's not good.
And I would be remiss if I didn't add, there's been a few other incidents of note recently that are more along personal matters for each of you, or some of you, I should say, not each of you. I know this might be a bit of a loaded question, but would you all be willing to discuss personal matters as a group?
No, I would not. I think my family and things that regarding me are would like to be maintained in such a sanctuary.
I have nothing specific for you, Counselor Dean, at this time, but I will take note that you would prefer those things to be discussed with you privately.
Thank you, sir.
I'm an open book.
As I
We
think
know.
as my role as regent, I need to be open about it as well.
Thank you, Counselor Blixel, for open book policy. If it's all right with you, then I would like to address a personal matter related to you.
Of course,
Oh,
Has copper moved up to silver?
yeah. Is it about the nickname? Because I decided to just lead into it.
No, it is not. Um, this woman has really tracked me down and approached me multiple times now. She swears up and down that you are the father of her child, and she is demanding that we do something about this. I can understand this is a difficult thing to discuss, but she says that, well, you recently had a night with her and that she is now pregnant. She knows that it's your child, and she is demanding
It's
that we force you to marry her.
Oh, just give her some money, have her
I-
sign an NDA, and it'll be
Is she
done.
very cold?
it's ridiculous.
You've only been in town a few days. How does this happen?
Listen,
Is her name Granica?
I
No, it
can
is a local.
I can handle
Oh,
my ale with the best of them. Believe me.
so what have you been doing out there?
No, it's lies. She's lying. She said I proposed marriage when I
Adam,
Well,
how
was.
look,
long?
I
How
think
long have we been in town?
hang on, I think we're skipping over the point here. I mean, look at his ears and the color of his skin. I mean, I think if she had a baby with him, it'd be pretty.
Well, the
Hey,
baby is not
maybe.
born yet.
Vin,
Well, there we
do we need to
go.
have a talk, Vin? Do we need to explain this to you?
We should warn her because I've
It is
heard
a
if she has my baby, it's gonna rip through her stomach and kill her.
I mean, we've only been here like a month and a half ish. There's no way.
Well, that's what she said. I told her to scram, but I guess she didn't take too kindly to that.
Wait, so you know her?
Yeah. She came to me. But anyways, Tannen, what does she want?
The impression I got, Counselor, is that she's hoping I can somehow force your hand to do the honorable thing of marrying her.
make her a respectable woman again.
It's ridiculous. I'm not meeting her family. This is a total lie.
Throw some money at her, have her sign an NDA, and we'll be done with it.
Is that like a scroll?
Yes, it's a spell called non-disclosure agreement. Just have her sign it. It's a level 5 NDA. It should work.
I mean,
Level 5.
I don't have much money either, I'll be honest.
Well, hang on, Blixo. I mean, you're around friends here. Look, some of us sat outside a cave entrance while you got your boogie on with another one. I think you can be honest here. Did you sleep with this woman?
Oh, no. I mean, we hung
Oh,
around.
We're not allowed to do insight checks against other players, right?
you said we hung around. Wait.
Yeah.
You can roll them if you wish, but it's up to the player to decide how to translate that.
Yeah, we were at the inn tavern together. You know, not together, but a group of us.
Like a one night kind of thing.
It was a big party. Singing, dancing,
Yes,
drinking.
she says that you danced the binding dance with her.
I
Oh.
don't even know what that dance is. Ha ha! There goes her story.
Keep it coming, Tannen. This is hilarious. What else did she say?
Oh,
Anything else on your list?
my lord, I am not here to try to embarrass any of the members of the council, but she did have some interesting details that I'd rather not go into too far. But what I'm really looking for here is how to handle this matter. This woman has, well, she has made a lot of noise, let's say, and she doesn't seem to be letting this go.
Blixel, I mean, you're a council member now. You have to remember your actions, every single one of them, they're going to be watched in the public. It's like being a celebrity in its own way. What is a binding dance?
Oh,
God,
my
here we
lord,
go.
it's
Okay, Vin.
it's
Well,
a
I didn't know if
very
it's like an elfish thing.
it's a local
It's a-
custom. It's when two people are very, very close together, much more
I get
than
it. I get
custom
it,
would.
Tanner. I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm caught up to speed. I
Don't worry,
understand.
I'll find him a picture book later.
Yeah, you'll learn one day.
Look, I didn't know you were using language that's like metaphorical. Okay, I thought he was actually dancing with her, but come on,
I don't
Blixel. Did
think
you?
I danced a lot of dances. I don't think I did any kind of binding dance with anybody. Also, there's no way that that baby is mine. So I say I just tell her to be gone. She lost a cool buddy that she could have had and partied with by being
Okay, but
crazy.
let's say she has the baby and it's dark skinned and pointy eared.
I mean, at that point, I'm just on the run. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
It was my brother, wasn't me.
Can we have her as a private meeting, Tannen?
If you
Put
would
her on the
like.
petition list.
I think that
No,
would be
no, no.
up to Counselor Markslin.
I'm not attending.
I'm not attending that either. I don't want to have to deal with Blixel's
Yeah.
run.
All right. I'll meet with her privately and try to work something out with her.
Are you sure you don't
But
need a chaperone?
A mediator.
if someone wants to come with me just to make
lawyer?
sure she doesn't make something up, sure. But
Yeah, I'll come with you.
okay.
To help him, I hope.
Yeah. That's why I'll be there.
Yeah.
I would
mean,
like to insight check Vin on that.
I'm sorry to have brought this to everyone's. I am an open book. I didn't bring it up because it didn't seem like a big deal to me. So I just figured, she was telling us a fib. People do it. I don't mind, but it just wasn't true. Anyways, I'll make sure she stays quiet about all this, okay?
I will document that you will be handling this matter personally, Counselor. And thank you
Yes.
for that. I hope, no offense to this woman, but I hope I don't have to deal with her again.
And make sure to document my strict belief in me not being involved with this woman whatsoever in that way, okay? I
have
object.
indeed wrote down that you have denied the charges.
Excellent.
So Counselor Dean has said he doesn't wish anything, but as I said, I have nothing for him at the moment. Are there any other counselors who are opposed to discussing personal issues as a council?
Can I play my card?
Sure.
Do it. I don't like this.
Another portal in the castle?
Another one.
Random.
Definitely a portal of the Shadow Realm opens right now.
Oh boy. Okay, random creature arrives on the scene. Oh boy.
Sorry, I did this at the end of the last one too.
I'm gonna hold that until the beginning of the next session, if that's okay with you, because I'm gonna have to come up with somehow a creature got into the council chamber, and I'm gonna need a little bit of time on that one.
All right, sorry. I know it's a big
There's
curveball.
only a
It's
subset
like-
of creatures that could be reasonable.
I think it's gonna be a squirrel in the suit of armor or something, but yeah, we'll address that at the start of the next
Okay.
session.
It's the
Okay.
divinity tier.
Jesus.
I will leave that card on the screen just so we don't forget. But so he looks around to see if anybody else is objecting to this, and it sounds like nobody is.
I
So
don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, considering I'm the regent, maybe my private affairs should not be super private right now, so I can have help if I need to.
Yeah, this is
Well,
too entertaining.
there is a minor thing involving you, my lord. I just wanted to let you know the individual that you believe threw the egg at you and you asked to have him arrested and you wanted him jailed. My understanding and talking from the guards is that they did arrest the man, but they can't account for him any longer. I don't know if he got away or if someone let him go, but it seems as though he's not in the cell any longer where he's supposed to be.
Huh. Interesting. I'm assuming we got his name, yes?
We have a name that he said, but it is hard to say whether or not that was his actual name.
And the name he said was?
Let's see, Delvin Fredericks?
Well,
This is a grave mistake, and we cannot continue to see this happening from the armed forces that work for us. I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Agree. Escaping from jail? What?
I don't think he was escaping. I think somebody probably let him go. Sounds to me like this Delvin Fredericks knows somebody who knows somebody.
I will ferret out the culprit.
Lastly, I
I just
have...
wanted.
Oh, sorry, my lord. Go ahead.
All I was going to say was all I wanted to do was make a public example of his racism.
Well, you, of course, could give a speech, but I'm afraid he's no longer here to be used or shown off. So decide what you would like to do with that. But the only other issue I have involves you, Miss Dawnstar. I was approached by a group. I got the impression they're sort of a lobbying group, and they're
That's
talking...
Don Guard, by the way.
I'm sorry? Dawnstar?
Don Guard.
Don Guard. Oh, my apologies. You see, he kind of jots down in his parchment.
Thank you.
This group, well, they approached me and they said that they had already spoken with you and they had gotten your support about instituting a new law that would make dungeon delving here in Cariele illegal to all who don't have a license. First, I wanted to check, are you aware of this and did you provide your support?
No, that's a very generous description of my reaction. I informed them that they should bring this proposal before the council and that perhaps they should make some addendum that any excavations that do occur, the valuable items for historical or monetary value should be given to the government for place in a museum or some such thing.
I see. Well, it seems as though they weren't exactly on the up and up in what they communicated, but they swore to me that you would support what they brought forward. So I will make note of this. I'm glad to hear that you did not give your support ahead of time. That would be a bad look if they do eventually come to the council as petitioners. But I'm curious about this policy. This, again, is the frontier, so trying to put some kind of a law on all adventurers, it would be very, very difficult to enforce.
I would hope that they understand that that would be the case and our resources are limited.
I see. Okay, well, yes, nothing too major then. It sounds like they overstated their hand. I will be sure to let them know that no support has been garnered for their position, and that if they wish to bring this before the council, they should do that in earnest. I appreciate taking the time to discuss this. That is all the matters that I had to discuss with you all now. If there is nothing else, then we can conclude this meeting.
All right, and make sure you got rid of that other part, right?
Say that again.
You got rid of that part about the stuff from before, right, Tannen? The stuff you had to cross off.
I believe so. I've updated my my notes here to be as accurate as possible.
Okay,
Did you want
we're on the same side.
to speak to Vin alone, or was that about the egg thing?
No, in fact, I did, but perhaps, yes, perhaps we could do that here momentarily, my lord, if that is okay.
Sure. Counselors, before you leave, though, I think we kind of glazed over the carrion crawler thing. What do we
I'd
Now
like
want
that
to
to
it's
go
do about
down there
that?
and punch things and finish the job.
I'm down to dirty my blade.
I didn't really like the sewers.
I'm sure the GM will keep it as a CR4 creature and didn't upgrade it since we've leveled up a few times. Yep.
You remember that enormous carrying crawler? He was way higher than CR4. Come on.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
dude,
I
he
don't
had
know
like
what he was.
I can't remember how many attacks he had, but it was nuts, bro. It was like 6.
I'm always up for some action, but it's, might be a bit dangerous for the leader of the free world.
We can bring some guards or something.
All right, folks, and as we are after session time, I'd like to do just a brief summary of a few items here to get us closer to the next council session, if that works for everybody.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to summarize some of these briefly, and then we will wrap up. So, again, the next session council is the 20th. On the 12th, there's another strange event in the castle. Vin, you were awoken this time, and you noticed Tabard standing at the foot of your bed, his eyes seemingly rolled in the back of his head as he moves back and forth on his heels. This kind of is very concerning as you get up and kind of like shake him out of the stupor. He kind of mumbles a few things and then wanders back to his bed. If you ask him about it the next day, he seemingly has no memory of this event. The 15th of the month, Cariele is hit by a thunderstorm with severe wind and freezing temperatures, once again causing people to be very much concerned. On the 17th of the month, the country is hit by a thunderstorm and severe wind. On the 19th of the month, another severe thunderstorm and hail. With all of these terrible weather events occurring so close together, the loyalty has dropped 1 level in the province of Riverford. So I'll update our sheet there. It is the day before the next session of council when all of you are alerted to a very concerning fact. The domain of Thurazor has declared war on Cariele.
Goblin fuckers.
And that, folks, is where we will go ahead and pause our session.
Hold on. I want to play my card.
Oh, come on. What is your card?
So whatever creature that he plays for the next minute, we got a +1 bonus to our defense.
That would totally work, but I will have Vin play his card to cancel that out. And yeah, no worries there.
Yeah, I knew he was going to say that. I was already ready. I was like, oh, he's going to counter that immediately.
Hey, well, you know what? You gotta have some fun with it, right? So at least he didn't play it, and then I didn't get a chance to.
Just for funsies, Brian, play your card too. I don't think we've actually seen this one in play yet.
Yeah, I was waiting here, so.
Bill's laugh.
Oh, I love it.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that is hysterical. I love it. That's funny. I want to take a snapshot of that one.
All right. Hopefully that one will come back up in an actual session. So, all right.
That
guys.
is hysterical, Adam. I love it.
All right. I'm glad you like
in
it.
a bad
Bill.
sort of way. Don't get
Right.
me wrong. I mean,
All right, guys. Hope you all enjoyed this session. Next session, obviously, will be very much up-tempo because you have just been declared war upon. We will see how that all goes. Obviously, any questions between now and then, feel free to shoot in Discord. Other than that, we'll see you all in a week.
Okay, see you guys.
All right,
Good.
good.
Night all.